Great. Where's he at now? Asleep.
The hardest part is whether anybody's going to believe. A lot of people don't honestly believe what happened. Sean is very much a master manipulator. He could convince anybody of anything he wanted to convince them of.
Is there any way you can get out of the building? I don't know without waking him, and I'm scared.
I didn't know he had killed anybody. I had no clue. But I had helped clean up, his crime scene. Just the overall thought of helping clean it up was... that really does bother me a lot.
Can you get up and see if you can get out? Oh, I woke him up. Hurry.
We were together almost 6 years. I knew something was off. He wasn't completely normal, but I never expected murder. At times, I do really feel like I should have known more. I should have been able to recognize more. I know I'm lucky. I know I got away. I know I survived, and I know I'm lucky to have survived. Knowing what I know of Sean, I know even in hiding, I'm really not safe. Sean needs to be punished for what he's done, for everything he's done to anybody and everybody. Sean needs to die. That is the very first picture of Sean and I. It's actually one of the better pictures. Not very many of me and him. It was in the very beginning, when the happy part of everything. The Sean that I actually loved is still here. He hasn't quite changed into the Sean I didn't like. Someone I had to get away from. It's a happy time, but it's all a lie. It's the start of almost 6 very bad years. It's almost the beginning of hell. When this picture was taken, I didn't know, but he had already committed, at least one murder. When I first met Sean, I was in the process of divorcing my husband, moving here, me and the kids. It's a way to change things, a way to improve all of our lives. I moved to Ohio April 13th. I met Sean April 15th, to be exact, 2005. My stepsister introduced us.
So, tell me about yourself. What should I know about Sean Gray?
Sean was very handsome, very quiet, very laid back. It was almost captivating. He just had a way of making you feel like you were the only one, that you were the only person that meant anything at all to him. And there was just something about that feeling that he would give that really was intriguing. In the first year, Sean and I were very happy. But even though I loved Sean, I really didn't know much at all about him. Sean and we would always take off and just go places, and nowhere in particular, in general, wherever, just somewhere, just kind of hang out. And it was quiet, peaceful. Sean and I talked a lot, but to think about it, we never really actually talked about anything.
Why do I still feel like I don't know anything about you?
In the beginning, it seemed like his answers were vague. I asked Sean a lot of times about his childhood, his life in general. Sean was extremely closed off with no information. As things progressed, during that first year even, any subject of the family, he would avoid any direct answer.
Christina, why do you keep asking me these things?
What?
I'd never met his mother, never met his father, brother or sister, anything. Never really said much other than, oh, well, Mom and I don't get along very well. Dad's new wife don't like me. They're too busy, was kind of the response.
What? I'm just trying to make conversation.
I don't want to talk about it. Let it go, all right?
In the beginning, I just felt that he hid a lot about everything, family, life, everything.
Sean, wait.
But I thought eventually he would share the information in his own way. I never saw anything saying that, Sean was a murderer. I just think he was really good at hiding things. About, probably 3 to 6 months after this, his mom suddenly appears. Somehow it comes up in conversation about how he is, his moods, his changes.
You said you needed to tell me something in person?
She kind of rambles off about when he was younger, he had issues and asked for help.
I'm not sure what you mean.
She didn't go into detail. She wouldn't elaborate much further. Once she's not at the house, try to get him to tell me something.
What was your mom talking about?
He proceeds to tell me, well, when I was 10, 11 years old, I was bothered. Things just weren't right. I got issues, I got problems, and I asked Mom to get me help. His mom's response was, go to church, you'll feel better. Everything with her is religious-based. God can fix anything and everything. Go to church. You'll be fine. That was about the extent of the conversation. That and him telling me he broke his arm was pretty much all I knew of his childhood. If I was to ask Sean a question and the answer was something he really didn't want me to know, or it was something he didn't want to talk about, he would just overall avoid it in general. Sean and I were sitting at the house, and he starts discussing past girlfriends. He discusses traveling down an older country road. He has a pregnant girlfriend in the car. They kind of end up in some type of argument.
Turn the car around. No. Turn it around.
He becomes angry.
I'm not doing what you tell me to do.
She was the one driving. He just reached over. He grabs the steering wheel, and they end up out in the middle of a field. He calls her to wreck the car. She's injured. He doesn't give any real extent to detail, the amount of injury, but she's injured.
Oh my God. She could have been killed.
He was letting me know. They argued, she disagreed, and he basically caused her pain for disagreeing. That conversation to me was a warning. You leave, you get hurt. But to look at Sean and talk to Sean and so forth, you didn't see a murderer. There was a lot of marked, oddball, odd-size spots. I would have never thought that there was any chance that that was somebody's blood. Sean and I dated a little over a year before we moved in together. At one point, I was looking for a house for me and my kids. Sean made himself a part of this. At this point in time, I didn't know what he was capable of. Before we moved in, he'd actually committed murder. Sean was living in his dad's house by himself. He, said that he was remodeling the home, that his dad was going to try to sell it, and his dad gave him a place to stay if he would fix the house. He was redoing floors, he was painting. It was almost a complete remodel inside. It'd been a couple weeks since I'd been over at the house. He had already done the dining room.
Sean, are you home?
When I did go back, he was re-spackling, repainting.
Sean, didn't you hear me calling you?
No, I'm sorry.
I was actually a little confused. It's like, second time in 2 weeks you're painting the dining room.
Didn't you just paint this like a week ago?
Sean was a little off. He was a little distant. He never really gave a direct answer.
Yeah, well, my dad didn't like it, so...
And he mentioned he needed to clean the kitchen floor, clean the grout, clean the wall.
As long as you're here, you might as well help out.
So I helped Sean clean the grout. There was a lot of odd-sized spots. Looked like rust in the grout. I would have never thought that there was any chance that that was the blood of anybody. There was a spot I'd worked on, and for the most part, it was gone. But there was a tiny little spot over on the edge that I couldn't get off. And he just seemed a little upset that, I couldn't get that off there.
It's not coming out. What is this stuff?
Doesn't matter. Just get it out.
He was different. There was just something different. In all reality, I had helped clean up, his crime scene. I had helped clean up the mess with her. This would be Dana Lowry. That's the first girl Sean murdered. His actual first victim that anybody actually knows of. She was like a magazine salesman, I guess, something. He killed Dana over some magazine subscription his mother ordered, but was never getting the magazine. This is the girl that I cleaned up off the kitchen floor, basically. For him to do that. If he's gonna kill her over a magazine, what's he gonna do to somebody else? At the time, I felt like long-term relationship with Sean would be a good thing. I very much loved Sean. The idea of him not being around, that was almost devastating. One day, Sean calls me and he tells me he has a surprise at the house for me. In the dining room, there's a box with a ring in it. That's your engagement ring. He says that we may never actually get married, but we would be engaged forever.
Is this for me?
That's right.
Oh my God. Sean, this is gorgeous.
He proceeds to tell me the ring had been his mom's. It was a very large ring. He tells me, take the ring, get it sized. I should be extremely happy, but at the same time, I'm actually quite confused. His mom, she wasn't a big woman, so I didn't see her having fingers that big. Him and his mom, they don't have a close relationship. So to figure out why she would give him a ring that looked like that, it kind of didn't make sense. I knew for a fact it wasn't his mom's.
Sean?
Hey, what's up?
I want to ask you something.
After I'd had the ring sized, I'd been wearing the ring, say, probably 6 months.
Where'd you get this ring?
I told you, I got it from my mom.
Tell me the truth.
The questions of where he got it wouldn't leave me alone, and I asked about it often.
Stop lying to me, Sean. I know this isn't her ring. Tell me where you got it.
Eventually, Sean breaks down, proceeds to tell me the ring came from a burglary he had committed when he was younger.
You proposed to me with a stolen engagement ring?
I was originally very angry. At that point in time, I stopped wearing the ring. It went in a jewelry box. Find out Much later on, the ring belonged to the first girl he had killed. I was honestly sickened. It was a sickening feeling. I think I might have been going to cook something, and in the entire house, I couldn't find a single knife. I checked kitchen drawers, I checked the cabinets, shelves, pantry. Every knife in the house was gone. Where are they? Sean came home. I asked him where all of our kitchen knives had gone.
Hey, do you know where all the kitchen knives are?
What? Why would you ask me that?
Sean became very agitated and defensive. I didn't understand why.
It's just strange that all of them are gone.
So I'm a liar.
What? No, I just meant...
It wasn't supposed to turn into a fight.
You're saying that I'm lying.
No. Calm down.
But Sean put his hands on me, kind of shoved me, told me shut up, flipped me over the couch. I didn't know what to think. I was mad. I wanted him to leave. I told him, he wanted to be like that then, he needed to just go.
Christina, I'm so sorry.
At that point, he'd went from extremely angry to extremely apologetic. I mean, it was almost like a light switch.
I didn't mean to push that hard.
He gave me 50 million apologies under the sun. He maybe just had a bad day and didn't mean to push me that hard. It was an accident. It's not going to happen again. I loved Sean so much. I had myself at that point convinced it was an accident. He didn't mean to shove me that hard. I never did find knives. Ended up having to buy new ones. I believe he threw them away. They were like a mental reminder to him of what he had done to her, the first girl he'd killed. I'm Sean's prisoner. I'm stuck there. I can't leave. I can't go anywhere. I can't call anybody. That entire time was basically a living hell. As time went on, Sean went from being a very happy, intriguing, motivated person to odd, paranoid, completely different. He didn't go anywhere, he didn't do anything, he did nothing but stay at the house. He just kind of was not the person he'd been the whole year before. This one time, middle of the night, Sean proceeds to wake me up and he's kind of disturbed, maybe even panicked. He hears people outside.
Christina, wake up.
He said, there's people right outside the window.
Christina, wake up.
What's wrong? What time is it?
I said, why do you think there's somebody out there? He says, well, look up there, look up there.
They're right outside.
There's light above the curtains in the window. He proceeds to see shadows in the lights. That's the shadows of people walking. It's the shadows of people at the window. They're just stalking our bedroom window. They're trying to see what I'm doing. They're listening.
There's no one outside.
I'm a little annoyed, a little agitated. I said, there's nobody out there. I said, that's just the wind blowing the trees.
I think they can hear us.
But he won't go to sleep. He won't stop. When Sean's paranoia began, I figured it was he sat at the house and did nothing all day. I kind of determined it might have been depression, but the longer we were together, the more frequent the paranoia became. What's the real story here? Was it honestly just the guilt of what he'd originally done? Was it creeping in, making him, obsess, wonder, they're coming to get him, they figured it out. And Sean gradually got even more different It wasn't just paranoia. He controlled what we did, where we went, who we talked to. I'd either make plans with the kids or a friend, my sister.
Where do you think you're going?
I'm going to work.
Why are you dressed up?
And 50 million reasons would come up as to why I can't go.
I'm going to meet up with Emily after.
No, you're not.
If I went, then after coming home, there was an argument. There would be, him throwing these fits.
I'll see you when I get home.
Couldn't have people over. My mom couldn't come over. My dad couldn't come over. My sister wasn't allowed there. He didn't have any real friends.
Oh my God.
I thought I told you to come home after work.
What?
If somebody knocked on the door, he'd answer, "Oh no, we're busy," or whatever.
From now on, you go out when I say you can go out.
It was a whole new aspect of Sean. The only time I was allowed to leave the house by myself was to go to work. He'd walk me to the car in the morning, and he'd be waiting pretty much when I got home to walk me back in the house. I think Sean let me go to work basically to pay the bills, but even with that, he still wasn't happy. He wanted me home. So it kind of became a battle. Sean unplugs the clock. That way I don't have the alarm to wake up. The phone gets turned off, takes the battery out of the phone. There was a morning he proceeds to lay on top of me when I'm trying to get up to go to work. It was all anything to deter me from getting out of bed and going. He wanted me there, even that 7, 8 hours, whatever I was supposed to be gone. As Sean checked off things that I was no longer allowed to do, it became more of a prison type thing. I talked to my mom about getting out.
Mom, I need your help.
Oh, honey.
I would ask Mom once or twice a week, "Hey, Mom, can you help me? Mom, I need to go. You need to get me out of here."
This is between you guys. If you want to leave him, just leave.
She wouldn't help. Mom and I were really not all that close.
Okay. Bye, Mom.
It was extremely lonely. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have any friends left. My kids, I don't think at that time they realized how unhappy I really was. There was nowhere to go. I was stuck. I was stuck with Sean. Sean had a fascination with taking pictures of me when I'm hurt. He's gonna hurt me this time. What happens next? This picture would probably be the second year we lived together. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. To look at Sean there, you can see a difference already. When I met him, he had a bright smile, bright eyes, but as the time went on, it was almost like his entire face would change. You could just see a deep darkening, just overall appearance. He's lost the bright color, his eyes aren't the bright blue they were. They're just kind of there. It's not the same. Sean's moods became very unpredictable. Sean would become angry to a point that it was just almost unbelievable. This one time, I literally had moved a vase from the living room to the dining room. His reaction was like you had done something personal to him.
So what the hell are you doing?
What? What are you talking about?
He screamed at me and told me I was stupid for moving the vase. Should have stayed there.
This is my house.
And he stomps into the dining room, and we had two of the older type high back chairs.
You want me to come down?
Paid for seats to grab the one, and he flings it across. Just because I moved the vase from here to there, we're gonna actually throw furniture.
Don't tell me to calm down.
What's gonna happen now is, is he gonna come in here? Is he going to, do something? It was that fear of what was his next level. Was it going to become more violent? He twists it around to where everything that's going wrong, everything he's doing, all falls back on me. I did something that caused him to react like that. That it wasn't him, that I started it. After that, I never knew what was going to set him off. It becomes a mental fear that how bad is he going to hurt me this time? What happens next? Do I leave and risk that, or do I stay? This is a picture of me that Sean took after he decided to actually beat on me. I don't even remember why he hit me, but Sean had a fascination with taking pictures of me when I'm hurt, or I was depressed, sad, crying. If he could have a way to record that emotion, the sadness, the fears, the bruises, and so forth, Sean would take pictures. I'm bruised, I'm hurt. He has to have record. Sean basically would tell me that he was the only one that would put up with me. He was very much a master manipulator. Nobody would want to deal with me. Nobody would want to deal with my kids. Everything was my fault. I was stuck with him. And you do start to believe that's what you deserve. That's where you're stuck. There's nowhere else to go. In his eyes, and the way he portrayed it to me, I needed Sean to survive. In reality, he needed me, but at that point in time, he had me convinced I needed him. This would be Halloween the first year we lived here. It's Sean and my son, and they actually had a really good time that year. They were still good together here, but it just almost overnight changed. It went from they were happy together and they did things together to they got on his nerves. He didn't want them around. One day, I come home from work and he's got the kids packed up and get them out. The kids had to go. Their stuff was packed. I was extremely angry. What is the issue? Why are they being sent off? They belong here.
Sean?
What?
I don't understand. What's going on here?
He told me they didn't need to be there. They were in the way, causing trouble, and they needed to go.
What are you talking about? Go where?
He didn't want anybody there. He wanted me and him.
Taking them to your sister's house.
What? Sean, you can't just send my children away.
To watch the kids, pick up what they'd packed and go to my sister's house to stay. It was very disturbing.
From now on, it's gonna be just me and you.
There was no other choice, really. If I left Sean, he would threaten to hurt me or people I loved. I stayed with Sean, to keep everybody safe from him, because it became a point of not really knowing what he was capable of. I woke up and found out that Sean had me tied up. Why am I tied up? The paranoia with Sean grew more. The intensity got stronger and stronger. When Sean got to this point of control, I didn't feel like there was anywhere to go. If I leave, what's going to happen? Who's he going to hurt? I decided one day to clean the living room blinds. They were actually really dirty. Get those down, go wash them. Probably took me 5 minutes. I come back and Sean has the living room windows entirely covered with a blanket. I asked Sean, why do we have the windows covered?
Sean, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
Sean, he says, they can see me, they can hear me. People are gonna know what I'm doing.
I don't want them seeing me.
Who's them?
I would want to know who they are. When I would ask point blank, who are they? He always referred to people walking up and down the sidewalk. There was no specific person. It was always they.
Sean, there's no one out there.
At first, I thought it was like a mental issue. He was maybe seeing things, hearing things.
Just keep the windows covered.
The next day, I realized things are getting even worse. Doors are closed, they're locked. The windows are closed and locked, covered. He tells me there's no reason for me to be looking out the windows, that there's nothing out there that I need to see. I'm Sean's prisoner. I'm stuck there. I can't leave. I can't go anywhere. I can't call anybody. He becomes like a warden. He tells me what I can and can't do.
This is getting out of hand.
Can't be too safe.
I asked him to leave minimum 2 and 3 times a week. He wasn't going anywhere. There's a morning where, in the process of trying to get up, I can't.
What the hell?
Not physically possible. And my hands and my feet are bound together. Sean had me tied up.
Sean?
He was cold.
This isn't funny, Sean. Get these off of me.
The eyes get dark, the face gets dark, the smile goes away, and it's just somebody else. It's Sean, but it's somebody else. I've got probably 100 million fears. What possessed him to tie me up in the middle of the night? What are his plans? Why am I tied up? I see Sean, change.
Sean, please, let me go.
He says it's a sexual thing. It's, something he wants to try. But I developed a fear that there was more to it.
Just get them off me, please.
Fine. You don't like it? You can stay here.
It wasn't a sex act. It was physical harm, basically. And I honestly think, I woke up in time before he could, go any further. I felt like that had I not woke up or whatever, that he would have hurt me, killed me, that there was more. Things at the house had actually been quite bad. He wouldn't do anything. The dishes weren't done. The house wasn't clean.
Stop telling me how to live in my own house.
I'm like, you've got to go. Either you help me or you leave. And within, it seemed like just a blink of an eye, he was literally on top of me. My hands were over my face. I did this. And then he breaks my hand, blacks my eye, and so forth. He's literally got me by the front of my shirt and the back of my pants, trying to drag me into the bathroom. If he would have got me in the bathroom, that's the most sound protective room of the house. That would have been very bad. I don't remember exactly what I had told him, but he lets go. He didn't say anything when he finally quit. He just kind of was like, basically just standing there kind of looking at me. I end up, the broken hand, the black eye, the bruises on my neck, and I'm like, you broke my hand. How am I going to go to work, pay the bills now with a broken hand? And then he's going to take me to the hospital. At that moment, I turn and I head toward the door to leave. I never make it to the door. He attacked me. I ended up a broken hand, black eye, bruises around my neck. We end up at the hospital. Well, the doctor comes in and she wants to know what happened. And she asked me, was I safe at home? In my mind, I'm screaming, no, it's him. But I knew I couldn't say it. If I would have said right then and there that he was the one that had done that, honestly, I don't think I would have made it out of the hospital.
All right, Sean, we're going to have you step outside while we get these x-rays taken.
So they want to send Sean out in the hallway. He steps out in the hallway. She closes the door, and I proceed to tell her he did this. She was like, we thought so, but with him being right there, we knew you couldn't tell us. Somebody called the police department. They made the mistake of announcing over the intercom that the police were there. And Sean disappeared. When I go to leave the hospital, the police are like, they recommend, not staying at the house, so on and so forth. We're planning to go stay at my mom's for a few days. The police are in the process of looking for Sean. They go through my house. They go in, they check out bedrooms, bathroom. They don't see. Next day, I was going to go home and grab a couple other things I needed, and then I was going back to mom's. I was not, I wasn't going to stay at home yet. When I got to the house, I honestly did not expect him there due to the fact that windows are all still locked and everything, doors locked. But things don't quite look right. Bathroom doors open, toilet seats up, hammer in the bathroom. It was just an eerie, somebody's been here. And at that moment, I turn and I head toward the door to leave. I never make it to the door. Bitch.
What did you tell them?
Literally turns into an extremely large, violent fight. He's once again trying to drag me to the bathroom. I honestly thought I would die.
Stop, you're hurting me.
But I managed to headbutt him in the nose and bloody his nose. So he let go. Afterwards, get him to try to talk to me because the calmer I can get him, the sooner I can get out.
You're gonna regret that.
The conversation turns to, how'd you get here? He tells me, I come in, the bedroom window. And he had been in the attic that night when the police were there. He's like, if that policeman would have stepped over, 10 inches, he'd have stepped on me. Then get the knock on the door. That's when the police had finally arrived.
Christina, is everything all right?
Sean tells me, if you tell them I'm here, I will literally bash your head in with this hammer. And I kind of lean out, just my head around the door.
Your neighbors said they heard yelling. Is everything all right?
I'm terrified. If I tell him he's there, he's gonna kill me.
Did Sean come back? Are you okay?
And I don't remember what I told him, but it was basically, he's not here, it's just me gathering up things to leave.
No, he's not here.
They told me, okay, thanks, and they left.
Trust me, Sean.
It took probably 15, 20 minutes to convince him that we could pull this off. After the police left the house, I'm thinking of how to go, how to get away. I come up with a plan of help him out.
Sean, the cops will be back eventually.
I told him, the police are in the process of looking for you. That you can't get away. I can help you.
I can get you out of here.
How? I tell Sean, I'll meet you over at the woods. I'll drive you to your dad's. I'll get you out of here. Wait for me, and I'll pick you up.
They'll never even know you were here.
It's crazy.
It took probably 15, 20 minutes to convince him that we could pull this off.
Trust me, Sean. It'll work.
Okay.
In reality, I'm not going after Sean. I'm just leaving. As Sean's heading across to go to the woods, I called the police department. I told him he'd been there, he'd been in the house, he was there. And I explained a lot of what had happened. He was arrested for domestic violence charges. I'm glad they've got him. He was sentenced actually to 120 days. After everything Sean put me through, to hear that he got 120 days was almost devastating. I went through almost 6 years of hell with Sean. I kind of felt betrayed. I know if he's to get away or they don't keep him, I know then that I'm in trouble. When Sean was in jail, I had filed a protection order to have the no contact, no calls, no letters. Sean, immediately violates the protection order. I start receiving mail at the house, and they involve threats of, once I'm out, I'm gonna find you. You won't like what happens. Nobody's gonna be happy with what I do. As I read the letters that he's writing to me, I'm terrified. After 30 days, they wanted to do a review to release him. I explained to the judge that letting Sean out would be a large mistake. I had letters from Sean. He said he was going to come back and get me. The judge decides that he was going to deny the review and Sean would serve the entire 6 months. After Sean's in jail, I'm in the driveway. There's neighbors on the other side of the driveway. We are discussing everything that had happened, and a friend of theirs shows up. He's kind of listening to the conversation and proceeds to tell me he was locked up, actually in the same cell with Sean.
Oh my God.
We all kind of stopped and just kind of turned and looked to see what he wanted to say.
Listen, you need to be careful.
He proceeds to tell me that while he's locked up with Sean, that Sean had told him that he would be back to get me for the fact that He's now in jail. When the neighbor talked about Sean coming back, first it's like immediate fear.
I'm sorry, you guys. I gotta go.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm stuck living here. He knows how to get in. I have to do something. I packed up, left. I go on a mission to hide. But knowing what I know of Sean, I know even in hiding, you're really not safe. Sean would be back. The neighbor that was in the same cell with Sean proceeds to tell me that Sean's coming back to kill me.
Oh my God.
Listen, you need to be careful.
I move, I change my phone number, I changed my vehicle, but I'm really not safe. In my head, it was always the fear Sean will be back. Even with hiding, it would just take him a little longer. A couple of years after Sean has been released from jail, a girlfriend of mine calls me. She had just seen Sean.
What? Where is he?
She tells me Sean wants to know where I live. He wants my number. He wants to be able to contact me.
You didn't tell him anything, did you?
Of course not. You know I'd never do that.
She knew what I went through, so she told him she couldn't give him the information, but she would get his phone number and she would give that to me. He tries to talk her into getting into his car. She says that he opened the trunk and there was rope and tape and just other odd things in the trunk, the ties and so forth.
Oh my God.
And she said it gave her like a creepy feeling and she wouldn't get in the vehicle with him.
Well, keep an eye out for him, all right?
I will. Thanks.
You know, it wasn't just upsetting. It was a very terrifying feeling to know I'd left him 2 years ago and he was still trying to find me. I'm at work. I'm on break. I'm going through my phone. I have messages on Facebook. Message wants to know if I'm the Christina that dated Sean. It's a news reporter. She had things she needed to discuss with me concerning him and what he had just done. He had just been arrested for kidnapping.
911, what is the address to your emergency? 5 Street Laundromat. What's the problem? I've been abducted. Who abducted you? Sean, great. Where's he at now? Asleep. I'm in the bedroom with them.
He's kidnapped a woman, tied her up, confined her, raped her for days. She managed to get a hold of his phone and she called for help.
Please hurry. Does he have a weapon? He's got a taser. The line would be okay.
That's the 911 call from the girl Sean kidnapped, and that led to his arrest. She'd already suffered a tremendous deal of abuse. In however many days he had her, I think it was 2 or 3.
Was he in the same room with you? Yes. I'll be on the way. So we have officers we're sending. Is there any way you can get out of the building? I don't know without waking him. I'm scared. Can you get up and see if you can get out? I'm not waking him. Is there a window around there you can look out? Yeah, but the floor squeaks in right by his head. Can you open it? I'm afraid without making noise.
To hear her and know she's there, she needed to get out. There's no doubt she would have been next.
Are you still there? I'm a stalker. Do you hear any officers outside? No. Okay, they're in the area. Okay, I can hear them. Do you hear them? Hurry. Okay, they have her.
Once the help arrived and they've got him, it comes out that he has dead women in the house. They had found dead bodies.
Stacy Hicks' body was found under piles of garbage in the basement of the same house where Sean Great was squatting. The naked body of the 29-year-old woman was found in an upstairs closet. Griffith's hands and legs were found tied behind her back.
When I was tied up, was that what he was going to attempt? Would that have ever been me?
Griffith died from a chokehold, just like Sean Great demonstrated when police asked him to show them how he strangled Griffith. It would take 3 to 5 minutes of maintaining a chokehold to kill someone.
There's these two women. There's the one he kidnapped. It had been 6 years since I'd seen him. So then I'm thinking, how many other people? How many other women? Who else has he hurt?
Investigators say suspected serial killer Sean Great confessed to killing 5 women, but said he didn't remember the name of his first victim, a young woman selling magazines in Marion County.
Learning that I had helped clean up, his first crime, it was just like an overall shock. He killed somebody and I helped clean it up. I'm going to jail. Yeah, I helped clean up this mess. I'm going to jail. Sean needs to be punished for what he's done. Sean needs to die. And these are pictures of the women Sean actually admits to murdering. They didn't do anything to deserve anything that happened to them. They didn't deserve to be killed by Sean. My own personal opinion, I honestly believe that I believe there's more. I don't believe it stopped at 5. I could have been one of the women he killed. I could have very well been in that lineup. This is a picture of Sean shortly after they had arrested him. In a creepy way, he's almost happy. It's actually quite disturbing. Was he happy he got caught? Was he happy he'd done what he'd done? On the day that they arrested Sean, at first I was kind of like, no, he's evil, but he didn't do this. Then it didn't take long. In all honesty, it was a matter of minutes. Kind of dawned on me that, yeah, Sean's evil enough to do that. When people think evil, they have a whole different idea. He was his own kind of evil. That picture, that kind of sums up him. That's Sean being Sean. That's him at being evil. The little smirk, it's just Sean.
I did tell you I abducted her. You abducted her? Yeah. Explain that. You just wanted to make sure she didn't get away because you wanted her? No. What explained you wanted her to relax and spend some time with me? Well, it's kind of hard for somebody to relax if you're dying down. Don't you think? Yeah.
Wanted to relax and spend time with him. His intentions with her, they would have been, much more severe.
You talked about you abducted her. You've had sex with her against her will, too. Yes or no? Yes. What do you call that? Rape.
To hear him admit everything, there's an awful lot I think about. And knowing what I went through with him, he had me tied up. If I wouldn't have woke up and caught him, I would have been dead. That's a picture during the first trial. Sean's entire look has completely changed. He's got the vest, he's got the guards, make sure nobody comes to get even with him for what he's done. When Sean's trial and everything happened, I wasn't involved, but I was very concerned with what his sentence is. I watched TV, I read everything that come across Facebook, I would Google his name and see what news articles would come up. I not only needed, but wanted to know everything. I needed all the details I could get.
The court therefore finds that a sentence of death by lethal injection shall be imposed upon Mr. Great for the aggravated murder of Elizabeth Griffith, and a sentence of death by lethal injection shall be imposed upon Mr. Great for the aggravated murder of Stacy J. Hicks, aka Stacy J. Stanley.
Sean needs to die. And to me, Sean needs to die the way he killed them. For what he done to me, for what he's done to, the women before me, the women after me, the women he's killed, for everything he's done to anybody and everybody. Sean needs to die. I keep my attic doors locked. I don't sleep at night, very rarely. I have these nightmares that he's gonna wake me up and coming from underneath a bed. So I no longer have a bed frame. I sleep on mattress and box spring on the floor. I don't even have clothes in my room. It scares the hell out of me. It's been 10 years to almost, and it still literally scares me that I'll wake up one day and he's gonna be right there. Thinking about everything he's done, I know I'm honestly lucky to have got away. It kind of comes down to, if I tell people what has happened, what I've lived, what I've learned, what I dealt with him, I believe that if they can use that information to get out and end their pain, then reliving and remembering everything I've been through it's a big help. I think and hope that people learn that they can get away. It's definitely not an easy process, but life can go on. You can continue, you can get past it, and you don't have to stay there and relive it all the time.
I know telling a story does not make me look good, because I did do really messed up things. But in telling it, at least I can show this isn't something that I sought after. The only way I'm actually able to talk about it is not because I'm better. It's because I'm still broken. I'm relatively cut off from any emotional engagement. I don't feel overly happy. I never feel overly sad. But it does make it easier to tell the story and get my side of this out there.
If we're to believe you, why didn't you call the cops when you could?
Well, honestly, I thought my mother would find out where the cops found her, and she had let me know in no uncertain terms that if I had told, she would kill me.
This, to me, is the face of my torturer. The abuse didn't give her the sense of control anymore. So, murder was the next step. I had a total of 5 siblings, 2 of which were half-siblings. That would be my older brother and sister, Howard, and Sheila. And then direct siblings, Sister Susan, younger brother Robert, and Sister Terry. She ruined 6 of us. There's not one kid that she birthed into this world that isn't broken or dead.
Hey guys, go outside. Let's go outside and play. Come on.
She would tell us on a regular basis that she didn't want any one of us. So now that she's stuck with us, she's going to make us do what she wants.
Be back before it's dark.
The extreme abuses didn't happen until my biological father had started another family. He was never actually present in our lives. Since we had no other place to go, we had no contact with our dad, we really tried to be the kids that she was expecting us to be. This is a picture of me in grade school. I don't have any actual color photographs of my sisters, either one. There's no family picnic photos. There's nothing like that. Looking back, I wish somebody would have kidnapped me. I was so unprepared for what was coming. My life was about to change dramatically. The beatings were part of growing up. On one occasion, we had been sent to our room in the middle of the day. She didn't want to hear us or see us. We weren't allowed to talk. We had to stay on our own beds. All I was doing was silently laying on my bed and Robert was on his. She burst into mine and my brother's room. She was berating us.
Are you laughing at me? Don't play dumb with me.
We didn't say anything.
I remember looking at Robert, and Robert's like, shrugged. He doesn't know what's going on. And she stopped laughing at me.
Everything I do for you, and you were up here talking about me.
Robert and I looked at each other. We were not laughing.
I know. You're up here, laughing at me.
Mom, I swear we're being quiet.
And she looked at me and said, your eyes were laughing at me.
What did I tell you about lying? Kids! Come hold your brother down.
She made Robert, Susan, all grab me.
No, stop!
At one point or another, all of the siblings were forced to hold down somebody. And if you lost your grip, or if you let go, or whatnot, you were immediately beat. She used what she called the Board of Education. It was a piece of wood from a construction site that she had wrapped a handle up with electrical tape so she wouldn't lose her grip on it.
This is what you get.
Whenever my mother would beat any of us, she would always say it was because she loved us. If she didn't love us, she wouldn't even bother. At a certain point, you internalize this. This is what love is. Love is control and beating. Once she was satisfied that I wasn't laughing anymore, and once I started to cry, she goes, there, now you're not laughing at me. You stay on that bed, that's where you're staying for the rest of the night, and she closed the door.
Everybody back to your rooms.
And we didn't have any outside exposure. We could never go to a kid's house after school, so we didn't actually see their family dynamics. There wasn't any questioning of it. This is what moms do. We just thought everybody was the same as us. She started getting more paranoid. In her mind, we were possessed. Demon possession. I recall one evening where we were in bed. We were all asleep. She got us all up out of bed because in her mind we'd been faking asleep.
Keep moving in the living room. You know the drill. Go.
She lined us up and had us sit down, facing away from her. She didn't want to see us. She didn't want us to look at her.
Everybody on the floor.
We weren't allowed to fall asleep. We weren't allowed to speak, and we had to sit there all night facing away from her.
Robert, stay awake.
If somebody started to fall asleep, if their head started to bob, they got it with the board. If somebody tried to move their leg, they got hit. We had to sit there like statues. It was sitting absolutely still for, I can't even tell you how many hours. When the sun came up, she says, okay, you guys can get up now. The demons had left us.
All right. Go upstairs.
We just chalked it up to Mom's weird. You know, this is just what she was becoming. My mom used to bar hop, and that's where she would meet guys and whatnot and try to have relationships. And she would always come home drunk. So one night after my mom had been out, she was very excited about showing us something.
I want to show you guys something. You're going to love this.
And she tells us a story about somebody that was at this bar that she was at, and rather than throwing darts, he breaks out a set of throwing knives. And she's like, look, I can throw knives. She started having us individually stand in front of her, and she would show how good she was at it by throwing the knives at us and missing us. We got scared at that point.
William.
She told me to stand against the wall, and I closed my eyes. I didn't want to see it. And it missed me, and I got out of there. But when it was Sheila's turn, she threw a knife and stabbed Sheila.
Sheila, you're next.
When it was Sheila's turn, she threw a knife and stabbed Sheila. The knife didn't actually stay, it fell out, and so she started bleeding immediately. And my mom immediately got angry at Sheila, saying she moved, she did that on purpose. You did that on purpose to make me look bad.
She moved, it's her own fault.
There was never an I'm sorry from my mother. I don't think my mom had remorse. I don't think she was empathetic at all. She did close the wound, butterfly bandage, it disinfected, all of that. And that was as close as you got to a motherly moment. But that was it. It was always our fault, not hers. And when she was done with us, we just ended up going to bed and not talking about it again. One morning, Susan ran away while I was doing my paper route. I returned from my paper route, and my mom asked me, where's Susan? And I was like, I don't know. She was here when I left.
Is your sister with you?
No?
None of us knew where she was, and my mom had a panic moment. My sister Susan was very bright. Susan knew something that the rest of us didn't. This can't be normal. There's a real problem here, and that scared my mom. Because she didn't know what Susan was going to do.
Hello. May we come in?
Child Protective Services showed up on our doorstep one day after Susan had run away. She told them about the abusive situation we were in. They just said all of us were going to have to do individual interviews, but my mom was in the room the entire time. And we knew what that meant.
Hi. Hello.
William?
Yes.
Nice to meet you, William.
If you said anything that she didn't tell you to say, you were going to get beat again.
So, William, has your mother ever hurt you?
They asked us questions that we could not answer. Does your mom beat you? And you look immediately at your mom, and she's standing there shaking her head no. You're going to answer no.
No.
No? Have you ever seen your mother hurt one of your brothers or sisters?
No, ma'am.
And at the end of this investigation, they made the conclusion that Susan was just a runaway because she doesn't like being at home anymore. So they sent her home. It's a harsh realization, but we failed her. All of us as kids, we were scared, and we didn't know any better. She tried to do something, and we couldn't stand shoulder to shoulder and help her. I think it would have been very different if Susan had ran away and just stayed gone. But it didn't go that direction.
All right. Bye-bye.
You come with me.
Susan was immediately handcuffed to a table.
Don't tell people things. Leave this house. You do. Go out. Talk to me. Give me your phone. Put it on.
She had socks over her hands, and it reduced marks. And that's where she stayed for probably the next couple of years. She was gagged. It was horrible. And it was under very heavy restrictions that the gag ever came out. She force-fed Susan. Susan was full. She made her eat more. If she threw up, she made her eat that. To see her handcuffed underneath the table was a constant reminder of the consequences. This is what happened when you go against our mom.
Let this be a lesson to all of you.
Running away didn't cross my mind because I had no place to go. The system had already failed, so I couldn't go to the system. Watching this escalation 100% reinforced the strategy for me to not make waves. She went to the school and told them that we were moving. Never went to school again. But she wanted more money coming into the household. So at one point, I got a job at a movie theater. I would have to walk or ride a bike to and from work. And she would drive past me to make sure I was going to work. I would see her car drive by me several times. She would never stop. She would never pick me up and drive me to work, but she would make sure I went straight there. My mother, on no uncertain terms, was absolutely stalking me and making sure I did what I was supposed to be doing at any given time. She escalated her control over me by doing these things. I'm thinking, this is just my life. This is the way it's going to be. If she would have found me deviating, I have no idea what would have happened. She hands Terry, who is the youngest, a .22 pistol. Terry's freaked. She's a kid. The gun goes off. This house was the whole world. This is where torture started. This is where everything disintegrated in our lives. This is where Susan was handcuffed to a table. Susan had already been under the table for quite a while. By that time, we were so brainwashed, controlled. We didn't know that anybody else was living any different. Susan was starting to gain pressure sores. So she would be allowed to be uncuffed for a period of time.
Knock it off.
But every night she was back under the table, and she was only let go when my mother allowed her to be.
You know the rules.
She was completely and utterly without a moment's peace, that this had to end. One morning, my mom just woke up in a horrible mood and literally was yelling and screaming about so many things simultaneously.
Stop saying love!
We were being hit indiscriminately. Susan had been uncuffed and is taking this huge brunt of abuse.
I'm sorry.
At one point, she hands Terry, who is the youngest, a .22 pistol.
That's it.
Mom,
please. Hold this on your sister.
And she tells her if she even moves, you shoot her. Terry's freaked. She's a kid holding a gun.
William, come with me.
And my mother takes me down the hall and we start making oatmeal. I'm taking food down the hall to people. I've got bowls in my hand. The spoons fall over and clank. And when they clank, Terry jumped. And when she jumped, the gun went off. She shot Susan. Susan fell. She dropped the gun.
What did you do?
She doesn't want the blood to get on the carpet. She's not as concerned with Susan. She's not concerned about Terry at all. She doesn't want the blood on the carpet.
Boys, carry your sister over to the bathtub.
She makes Robert me pick her up, take her into the bathroom, and get her into the bathtub. She was not screaming or hollering. She was not, writhing. She was out. The gunshot was low in the abdomen. We didn't know what exact condition she was in, but we knew she wasn't dead. My mother said, everything is going to be fine. I know how to take care of this. She started to deliver some form of first aid. She's not trying to remove the bullet. She didn't actually stitch anything up. She used a series of gauze, tape, butterfly bandages, that sort of stuff to close the wound. I don't know if she gave her any pain relievers. I think she was just disappointed that Susan was wounded and not killed.
She's gonna be fine.
There was no thought about calling the police or calling an ambulance or calling anything else. We were just kids, and Mom's gonna handle it. She was in there for maybe a month. It was more or less like watching a horrible movie. It took a while for Susan to even recover to a certain extent and get out of the bathtub. But my mother put her right back under the table. Okay, handcuffed.
let me go.
You did this to yourself.
Susan could not take it anymore. She started to beg and plead on a regular basis. I can't do this anymore. Let me just go. I won't go to the authorities. I will disappear forever.
I promise. I'll disappear. You'll never see me again.
And she tried doing this for an extended period, like over a year, where she was begging to get out. At some point, she had said it enough to where my mother actually started to entertain this idea. My mother actually said, okay, but I gotta take that bullet out of you. I'm not letting you leave with that bullet still in you.
Mom, no. Please. Mom. No.
That's evidence. I'm not letting that walk out of here.
No. Mom. No. William.
I came home from work to find Susan on the floor. She was out. She's got bandages on her. Terry was obviously shaken. Robert, he wasn't doing great. And Terry tells me that Mom had taken the bullet out of her.
She had to cut Susie open.
They used some sort of combination of alcohol and medication or whatnot to start the surgery, and she had possibly gone into some form of shock and passed out during this process. My mom comes out of the bathroom, and I looked at her, and she just simply says, "What?" As if to challenge me. "What do you have to say about this?" And I didn't say anything.
She wanted to leave. This is what it's going to cost.
There was no in-depth explanation, and she's like, "I've decided to let Susan go, but this is what we had to do to let her go. She'll be fine. She just needs a little time to heal up, and she'll be on her way."
Clean this mess up.
Weeks later, I came home from work again, and this time Susan wasn't on the floor. My mother immediately said, "We're going to drop Susan off, gather her stuff up."
Take this stuff and put it in the car.
It was certain minimal personals, some clothing, things of this nature. And Robert and I went out and we went to put them in the car. That's the first time I saw where Susan was. She was in the trunk of the car. So we gathered up the meager belongings that she had, and Robert and I take them outside. And that's the first time I'd seen that Susan had been moved into the trunk of the car.
What happened?
I was told that she was dead, that she had died on the floor. To be honest, I did not check. The only explanation from my mother was very dismissive. This is what Susan wanted. We had to take that bullet out, so here we are. Robert and I, we were scared.
Come on, everybody, get in the car.
She said, "Everybody get in, we're going for a drive."
Come on, now.
There was no questions, we got in the car. We start driving to a wooded area, so we're in the car for a while, and nobody has said even a single word the entire time. It's dark, it's nighttime, and she finds a place that is slightly removed from the highway. She says, "Okay, get everything out of the trunk." We moved the stuff out, and then we came back and put Susan. And Robert and I both thought we were just getting in and driving away. That's when my mom pulls out the gun.
Pour gas on everything.
Robert and I put gas on just the stuff. We didn't put any on Susan. She cocks the gun and says, "I said on everything."
I said everything.
And it wasn't like we had a choice. I don't think she would have hesitated to shoot Robert or myself. And then she throws me the matches and says, "You light that." And she has got the gun on me. I feel that the reason why she made me do it is because she wanted me to blame. You're the one who did it. I know she will shoot. And so I've got to strike a match and drop it. In my mind, she was already dead. I didn't light my living sister on fire. She was dead. But that's the only solace I can take from this, that this was not her burning to death. And then the gun, get in the car now. Leaving that situation was, I can't even put it all into words because all of us were so desensitized. But it was still hugely traumatic. You can't unsee that. But there was a sense of relief. She wasn't going to be tortured on the floor anymore. Her fight was done. We never talked about Susan again. We weren't allowed to mention her name. This is the last picture of my sister Susan. I can see a smile on her face Maybe this was the last happy time she ever had. The only thing she wanted to do was try and help people, help us get out of this situation. I failed her. The system failed her. My other brothers and sisters failed her. She tried to do something for everybody and pay the ultimate price for it. My mother was psychotic. She needed somebody to torture. She needed somebody to beat on. And it quickly moved over to Sheila. One day, I walk in the middle of her beating Sheila.
Stop!
I started yelling, "Are you trying to kill her too?"
If you are, just get it over with. Stop torturing her.
What did she say?
And then my mom came at me and she was going to start beating on me. And I put my hands up and I said, No, you are not doing this to me anymore. That was a shift moment for me. It was scary.
You will never touch me again.
At this point, I was 15, and it was oddly exciting that I had actually stood up to my mom. I simply turned around and left. I did not go to the police. I didn't go to Child Protective Services. I did not want to be forced back into the home and end up where Susan was. By this point, this deep, it was every man for themselves. But I knew that I hadn't seen the last of my mother. They had obviously followed me, continued stalking me, and Robert said, "Mom needs you and you don't want her to come get you." When I walk in, my mom was there.
You asked to see me?
And she's all, "You created this situation, now you're going to deal with it."
You're responsible for this.
And it's like, "I haven't been here. What are you talking about? I created a situation."
Responsible for what?
She said, "Well, after you left, we had to put Sheila in the closet to shut her up." And I said, what's going on here? When my mother opened the door, Sheila was dead. What I had heard from Robert many years later is that she had cried and then begged and then pleaded to get out. And then she started to say things that didn't make any sense. And then she stopped saying anything. And she had left her in there for another day.
You're responsible for this.
Looking at her in that closet was just every worst thing that you can imagine. I thought I made the right choice at ending Sheila's beating with a very dramatic statement. Turns out I was wrong.
You're gonna help me make this go away.
This would be the last picture of my sister Sheila. Sheila she didn't hurt a fly, ever. At that point, I knew that I had failed again. It was just an amazingly harsh realization that nothing I did was going to make a difference. And that's looking at these pictures. Every one of them brings back another level of regret. Well, you'll hear so many people say, "Well, if I'd have been there, I would have." Well, I was there, and I didn't. And I regret that. And there's no way for me to go back and remedy it. I was too weak. She told Robert and I to get out of the car and dig a hole. Robert and I had gotten out and walked a little ways away from the car, and almost immediately a sheriff's car pulled in behind us. Robert and I hit the ground. There's no way he would have seen us. And he walked up to my mom's window. She rolled down her window, and he asked her what she was doing out here. She says, just been driving a while, pulled over to get some rest, but she seemed very, very comfortable with the situation. She didn't panic or get edgy. And he said, well, you might want to move the car because it smells like there's a dead deer out here. He did not sense the smell was coming from the car. And then he walked back, got in his car, and turned around and drove off. And then she started the car and turned on lights. And then we just got right back in the car and drove away because she didn't want to have a record of her car being at that spot and then have them find Sheila. We actually went into a different county to a different spot. She just told us, just take her out, send her off to the and get back in the car quickly. And so that's what we did. When the car was in park, I said, I can't do this, okay? If you're going to come after me, then come after me. I'm done with all of this.
That's it. I'm not doing this anymore.
And I got out of the car.
You think you could just walk away?
She definitely took the opportunity to, you're as guilty as I am in this. You were here. You did this.
Her blood is on your hands, too.
Letting me know that if I try to go to the police, she's going to make sure that I go down too, but I'm not coming back for anything. Either kill me or leave me alone. After I was out, the first several years, I looked over my shoulder every day, all day. I would go to windows at the front of my job and see if I recognized any cars, see if I recognized any faces. Is Robert out there? Is my mother out there? I didn't hear from anybody for years. I had no contact. I didn't find out for many, many years that at a certain age they were all grown and out of the house.
Right over there.
And that's when two detectives had showed up at my work.
We're gonna have you come with us.
They put me in handcuffs and said I was being arrested for murder. This is a booking photo. This is me. Nobody expects to have one of these. I'm 25 years old here. Two detectives took me into custody, and they said I was arrested for murder. They take me into this room, and they start showing me pictures of these places. This could have been the entry or the turnoff where Susan was, or this could have been where my mom turned off for Sheila. The police came aware of the whole story through my sister, Terry. She had gotten herself in trouble with the law several times over the years, and each time she was arrested, she would tell this story. And they started asking me questions, mostly about where my mother was when I had last had contact with her. And that's when I start to get an idea of what I'm actually being charged in connection with.
After launching a nationwide search, investigators found Teresa Jimmy Noor in Salt Lake City. She'd worked as a caretaker for an 86-year-old woman for over a year and just borrowed $4,600 from the woman's son. Detectives think she was planning to flee.
I was glad that they had found her and that she was caught, but that didn't mean I was free. I was brought into the same courtroom as she was.
Accused killer and son number one is Robert Noor Jr. He's in a Nevada prison on unrelated charges, and we're told he won't talk with the cops. This is alleged co-conspirator and son number two, 26-year-old William Noor.
They believed I was complicit. If you weren't guilty of this, why didn't you come forward? You've had 10 years to come forward. Why didn't you come forward? And the obvious, clear answer was, look at what happened to the people who did. Susan tried to come forward. She had gotten herself with Child Protective Services, and she's dead. So I just went about trying to live my life.
Noor remained passive throughout the hearing, but her son, charged as an accomplice, was uncomfortable. His attorney says seeing his mother makes him nervous.
Nervous is not the right word. I was caught so off guard by her being walked into that courtroom that I just broke all the way down. I couldn't breathe. I was sweating. This, to me, is the face of my torturer. And the guy next to me told him to get me out of there. After that day in the courtroom, I have not seen her again. It's obviously a recent picture of my mother. The fact that she would spend the rest of her natural life incarcerated was a relief. I never saw any sign of remorse for my mother, ever. I don't believe she's even capable of remorse. And there will never be a time in my future that I will ever want to have contact or see my mother again. He was already in jail in Ely, Nevada, for an unrelated crime. But when they interviewed him, he gave an almost identical statement to what I did. Robert and I spoke to each other one time while on a transport bus, and I don't know where he's at. We have not been in touch. I've had no further contact with him either. I've done a lot of work on myself in a lot of ways, and it's gotten better over the years. But I don't have the full connections to emotions like so many folks do. The biggest emotion that I have is absolute regret that I wasn't a better person. I still find difficulties in external relationships. I don't necessarily have a lot of friends. But my life today is very, very different. I have a wife and a beautiful daughter. I like to think I'm a decent dad to my kiddo. I think my daughter actually likes me. The day-to-days of my life are like anybody else's. I go to work, do the best job I can, go home, spend time with my family. We have what seems to be a pretty normal life. I can't explain my mother. I don't really want to try and understand her. I just want to be a better parent than she was, and I know that's setting the bar really low. But I want to be the type of person that when my daughter's older, I want her to be able to trust that she can still come home to Dad's house, feel safe. I want her to be the defining moment of my life, to show that I didn't continue the cycle of abuse. We were taught to be horrible people, but you can move past it and create a different future for somebody else.
Where do we draw the line on what we consider evil and who's capable of it? What Alec did, I can certainly understand what people would call that or him evil. My son did something more horrible than most people's children will ever do. But to dismiss him as simply an evil individual is ignoring a lot of the story. Turn my son in, go to the police, or betray everything I said my life is about, and lie or not come forward. He was my son. How can I turn my son in for this crime? How can I be the right thing? When you're in that mode of desperation, it's amazing where your mind will go. I was trying to imagine scenarios where I could help Alec get away with it, and perhaps, they would never find out. We could just run away from this. But it wasn't the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to come forward. How can I not do the right thing? This is a picture of me with my boys. Alec was maybe 7 or 8. Alec was a typical child a lot of times. This photo just shows a happy young boy who's hanging out with his little brother and his dad. A happy little boy that, I often remember before things kind of turned darker. There's often moments I look at a picture and go, I can't believe this happened. I should have seen it coming. I should have done something to stop this. But for me, he wasn't that different from a lot of children. But somehow, somewhere, something, went wrong. Alec's mother and I had 3 children. My oldest is a daughter, and then Alec was my oldest son, and I have a younger son. Even from the day he was born, he had an age of anger to him that my other 2 children didn't. It was more intense. And disciplining Alec was really challenging because he didn't care about it.
Hey, Alec, it's time to go to bed.
One time, it was time to stop playing a game, and he decided he didn't want to stop playing a game, and he got defiant and just wouldn't listen.
You need to stop playing and get into your pajamas. I'm gonna count to 3.
We used 1, 2, 3 magic discipline. You count to 1, you count to 2. When you get to 3, that means you're going to have to go into timeout. I started counting 1, and he threw his arms back by his side, stared at me straight in the face, said 2, 3, and just stood there and stared at me. Like, what are you going to do now? He didn't care that I was his dad.
I'm not going to bed. I want to keep playing.
Don't take that tone with me.
He was just being really belligerent and talking back and yelling at me. And I said, you speak to me that way again, I'm going to take one of your favorite toys.
I don't care. Take them. Take all of them.
Then he refused to calm down, continued to behave in that way, and each time I said, I'm going to take another one of the toys you play with.
I'm not going to bed. You can't make me. I don't care about that stuff. Take all of it.
And eventually I had basically every toy that he played with that he kept in his room in a garbage bag. I said, you'll get them back when you apologize. And he never did, never asked for a single thing back. And I got to the point where I figured, well, this was kind of pointless because he doesn't care. Literally, it was probably a month later, I just finally put it back in his room because it had no impact. I felt kind of helpless, frankly, as a parent because I had no idea what to do to try and deal with him when he was in one of those moods. On the other side of that coin, I thought that the strong will that he had would serve him really well if we could channel that into a constructive way. When Alec got really angry, it was as if he almost lost control of who he was. Anything could set Alec off, if he didn't want to do it. It could be as simple as picking up his toys or coming to dinner if he didn't want to.
We each have a job to do, buddy, so you need to help too.
I don't want to.
I know you don't want to, but you have to.
No.
Yes.
I don't remember what it was about, but whatever it was, he was so furious. He was kind of just on the edge of kind of losing it.
Alec, you're not listening.
We sent him to his room, closed the door. It was frankly pretty quiet. Then we kind of heard this crashing sound.
Is he okay? I'll check it out. I'm sure everything's fine.
He had punched out the window in his bedroom. First response was, are you okay? He was fortunate enough and didn't cut himself or hurt himself.
What were you thinking?
I just got angry.
And I thought, well, I need to teach him a lesson. He had been saving his birthday money, his allowance money, Christmas money to buy a guitar.
You can't, that's my money.
I know, but you need to learn that your actions have consequences.
We sat him down, told him that you broke this window, you're going to have to pay for it. He was really kind of upset and devastated about having to pay for that window.
That's no fair.
And I felt like the worst parent in the world.
I'm sorry.
I just didn't know what to do with him. But then there'd be all this good behavior. So you think, okay, that good's gonna eventually outweigh this darkness. Alec did not have a lot of friends, but Alec and his little brother played a lot of games together.
Go down! I'm trying.
The majority of the time, they had a nice brotherly relationship.
Well, I'm playing the other guy. No, don't!
But when his little brother would make a mistake or something bad would happen in a game, sometimes Alec would lose it.
You made me die!
I came in one time and he was straddling his little brother. And he kind of had his arms around his neck or on his shoulders.
Alec!
You could really see that he was struggling to control himself. That he was so angry, it almost felt like he really wanted to hurt somebody. He really ought not to, so he didn't. And I think that's the part that alarmed me the most, that it felt like he was close to losing that last little bit of control he maintained when he got really angry.
We don't hurt people. You have to find a way to cool down in those moments.
I was trying to talk to him. Nobody can make you angry. You get angry on your own. I said, if your little brother does something that you don't like, your anger is you make a decision to get angry over that.
Tell your brother you're sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't have any siblings, and I talked to people who had brothers and sisters, and they said they fought like cats and dogs, so I didn't take it as an overwhelming concern at the time.
Why don't you go cool down in your room for a little while? You okay?
But the anger inside him was irrational. And how to release that anger was what he struggled with. I can't believe he used this knife. I would have never imagined that what happened would have happened with that knife in the hands of my son. When Alec was little, what most of us consider for the most part harmless little things would just set him off. It might sound silly, one of the biggest things we had to walk on eggshells about was depending on what we ate for dinner.
It's actually really good today.
What are you guys working on now?
There's one night we're having something with potato chips. And his little brother was sitting beside him, and he started eating his chips. And I could see Alec glance at him out of the corner of his eye. The noise of the chewing would really get him agitated. He would stare at the table and he would just shake his head. Sometimes he would clench his fist and just put him on the table. It was almost like it was intolerable for him. It seemed like when he got so upset at his little brother that it was almost like he wanted to hurt him. Instead, he just kind of got disgusted, pushed himself away from the table, and left the room to go finish his meal. He couldn't stand being in the same room with all of us eating potato chips. I tried to talk to him numerous times about why the chewing bothered him. He didn't know why it bothered him, it just did. And the hard part is, parent, when does it cross over into an area where you really need to be concerned? And when is it the behavior or the attitude something that, wow, this is really a problem? I don't know. I don't know. When Alec's brother and I split up, he would have been right around 10 years old. We worked out a joint custody relationship, so it was 1 week at my house and then 1 week at their mother's house. Alec's reaction to divorce was kind of typical Alec. He said, well, it makes me angry. So I thought, okay, we've had these issues with his anger. Let's see if we can get him into some kind of counseling or therapy to help him deal with that anger. And he was in counseling for quite a few months. The therapist seemed to help. He was improving, he was getting better. His outbursts were not nearly as frequent as younger. We would go out and visit my father and my grandfather in the house that I grew up in. We went out to visit one time, and I was going through things, just reliving some nostalgia.
Hey, Alec, take a look at all this stuff I found.
And there was a small knife that I had that I used as kind of my hunting knife when I was a kid.
Cool. Your grandfather gave it to me.
And Alec thought it was really neat. He said he really liked it. That knife was given to me by my dad, so I told him, well, if you like it,
And now I would like to give it to you.
you may have it.
Would you like that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like father handing down to his oldest son, just a token of my childhood.
Now remember, this is a tool.
But made it pretty clear it's not a toy, it's not something you play with. You need to be responsible with it. If you ever do anything irresponsible with this, whether towards somebody or anything, and you're going to lose it, I'll take it back.
I won't, I promise.
He said he understood. It just didn't seem like a big deal at the time.
Now help me with this stuff, okay?
And it looks like the knife that I gave Alec. It was just part of my childhood I was trying to hand down to my son. It's like, a generational thing. I would have never imagined that what happened would have happened with that knife at the hands of my son. I can't believe he used this knife. My biggest concerns for Alec occurred when he was getting into that 14, 15-year range when I saw his mood changing. Yeah, these are photos of Alec in 4 consecutive years that I came across a little while after all this happened. It'd be striking to me the change I saw in Alec in these photos. I look at the one in 7th grade. There's this, fun little smile, relax. But then something shifted. You look at his 9th grade photo, there's this little smile, but it's almost more of a smirk, like he didn't even want to smile, but he made a little bit of effort. Then you go to his photo, in 10th grade, shortly before all this happened, there's not even a pretense of a smile. When he got at 14, 15, he seemed depressed. He started to go to his room a little more often, less interacting with the family. But how much is that a teenager just wanting to do his own thing? It didn't seem uncommon. He's just a typical teenager. He'll be all right. All right, these 2 photos are from Alec's 16th birthday party. There's only 2 pictures here because he was in a very unhappy mood that day. It wasn't the celebration we anticipated. Most young people, when they turn 16, it's a pretty big deal. They're pretty excited.
Oh, you guys cut into the cake, huh?
We had a birthday party for him, and he was just really unhappy, kind of brooding, just didn't want to celebrate.
Hey, Alec, why don't you come in here and open some presents?
I certainly encourage him to even come to the table and participate. He was just so dark. Not angry dark, just miserable. Didn't want to be there, didn't want to celebrate his birthday, open his gifts, didn't care what he got.
Oh, that's nice.
Try that.
Like life was too much effort to just even be there. So we just kind of let him open his presents, had some cake, and
I'll be in my room.
I think he just went off to his room.
If you'll excuse me, I'll be right back.
So I went up to check him, knocked on the door. Hey, what's going on? Can you come down a little bit?
Hey, buddy, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You don't seem fine.
But when I try to talk to him, what are you feeling? What's going on? He's having these dark thoughts, and he just doesn't want to share them, and I wouldn't understand, and things like that.
Is there something bothering you?
You wouldn't understand.
He would just speak in generalities and vagueness, but it was enough to let me know he was struggling, and he didn't know what to do with it.
I don't really want to talk about it anymore.
I wasn't sure if it was just 16-year-old boy angst or something deeper, but at the end of the day, I really had no idea how dark his feelings were. and what he was really struggling with, how big the conflict really was. Somebody came to our door and rang our doorbell, and I opened up, and it was a couple police officers. They just kind of showed up and asked to speak to Alec. Alec didn't have a big friend base, but his one friend was Kevin. He was an extremely polite young man. Every time I was around him, he would be courteous. I mean, he was involved in the Boy Scouts, went to church. They had fun just hanging out and doing teenage boy stuff. Kevin had an older sister, and Mom, she taught Sunday school. Dad was a salesman. It's just a wonderful family. It was almost like Leave the Beaver.
Hey, Dad. Would it be okay if I slept over Kevin's tonight?
Sounds good. You guys have fun.
Alex spent a fair amount of time in their home, and he would often go for sleepovers. It seemed like it was a very good friendship. And so I was really happy that, Alec had Kevin as a friend. It was spring Saturday day. I was going to pick up my daughter at her mother's house for a belated birthday lunch.
Honey, hey, what happened?
My daughter opened the door and she was crying. It wasn't kind of the greeting I was expecting, and I asked her what was the matter, and she told me that somebody had killed Kevin.
They were dead. Him and his parents.
Not only was Kevin killed, but so were his mother and father. So they were all three killed the night before. Apparently it was a relatively gruesome crime scene. Kevin's sister heard commotion, and she ran for help, called the police. That's how she escaped. Police had no idea who had done it.
It's going to be okay. I'm sure they'll find whoever did this.
My first reaction was kind of disbelief. I mean, we had just been with Kevin and his father a few days ago, so it was kind of shocking to hear that, something had happened to Kevin. So I asked if Alec was around.
Is your brother here? How's he doing?
He's up in his room. Won't come out.
I was very worried that this would push Alec over that edge where he would just finally lose it, break down, and not be able to handle it. Losing one of his best friends could be really, really difficult for him right now.
Yeah.
He's up in his room. So I went up to check him, knocked on the door, heard this very audible yeah, and went in, and he's laying on his bed, and he was crying and seemed really upset.
Alec, I'm so sorry.
I asked him how he was doing, and I just got like this very audible okay.
I'm okay, I'm fine.
I tried to talk to him. Dad, I'm okay, I'm fine. He wouldn't talk about it. And he just dozed off, just fell asleep, sitting there with me. In retrospect, I don't see anything in that behavior that would have sent me any kind of alarm or concern.
Good evening, sir.
A few days after the murder, somebody came to our door and rang our doorbell, and I opened up, and it was a couple police officers.
Mr. Kreider's your son home? Yes. We'd like to have a word with him. Sure. Come on in.
They just kind of showed up and asked to speak to Alec.
Do you know anyone that would want to hurt Kevin?
Not really that I can think of, no.
I sat close by. I just want to hear what they were asking, and I want to make sure Alec was okay.
And you played online with other folks?
Sometimes.
They were asking about the video games, what they did online. Just trying to get details about, anything that he might know that might be of use, which led me to believe that they had no real leads or any idea who could have possibly done it.
Is anybody giving you a hard time?
I watched his demeanor, and it was typical Alec. He answered the questions, didn't seem overly upset. He just seemed to answer the questions in an honest, reasonable way at the time. I'm sorry, I wish I could be more help. I don't know if he was ever a suspect or not.
If you think of anything at all, please give us a call.
The few facts I knew about the crime, there was no signs of any forced entry, so it would appear as though somebody knew they could get in the house without having to break in. It appeared to be a personal crime.
We're gonna go.
Thank you, officers.
So there were points where I would wonder, could he have had something to do with it? But then I was watching him. His behavior didn't seem to have changed. Everything seemed, quote, as normal as you could be expecting in a scenario. And frankly, no father or parent ever wants to truly think their child is capable of such a thing. She opens the door and invites us back in.
Alec, are you okay?
Alec has something he'd like to tell you. There was a memorial service held for the Haynes family, and I told Alec he ought to go, and at first he didn't want to go.
I want to thank everyone for being with us today. We're here to celebrate the life of Kevin.
And he said there's going to be a lot of people there that didn't care about Kevin or didn't hang out with him when he was alive, and now they're going to show up at the memorial service. But I said to him, he was one of your best friends. You owe it to him to go to this.
The devout are taken away, and no one understands that the righteous are taken away to be spared from evil.
There was a lot of emotion at the service, but there was still definitely this uneasiness and fear. Nobody could picture or imagine why anybody would hurt this family.
I believe the family has a statement to make.
A member of the Haynes family got up to address the church. And he makes a plea to everyone in the church. He goes, it's very likely the person who did this is sitting here with us right now. If you're there, do the right thing.
All we ask is that you step forward, that you talk with the police, and give our family the closure we deserve.
I remember sitting in the back of the church just looking over that going, I never thought of that. Wow, the person who did this could be sitting right here with us. I kept an eye on Alec throughout the service. He was sitting maybe, a few rows up in front of me, trying to see if he was doing okay. There was no reaction from him. Typical stoic Alec, just sat there quietly, listened, and no other real reaction. It didn't seem strange to me because it was how Alec always seemed to deal with stuff. He just kind of kept it in, so it didn't seem unusual. It was just typical Alec behavior. Three or 4 weeks after all this, he's staying with his mother's, and there was a couple of messages on my cell phone. Alec had been talking about killing himself the night before and was now in the Phil Haven Mental Health Hospital. Come this way. The psychiatrist is extremely concerned for Alec. He diagnosed him with severe depression and that he's going to be under 24/7 suicide watch.
Oh my God.
It's the first time I really started to get a grasp of how significant it was. The therapist mood had changed a little bit, and he said, Alec has something he'd like to tell you.
I think it's best if you spoke with your son.
Alec, are you okay? Are you hurt?
So we went in and Alec was there. And he looks right at me and he goes, I killed Kevin and his parents.
What? No. That's not true.
I was in a state of shock. Is this real? Are you really telling the truth here? Sure you're not making this up? He says, no, I'm not making it up.
Dad, I'm not lying.
And I said, well, if you really did this, give me some details about the crime scene that nobody would know unless they were there. We gotta make sure that this isn't just some grab for attention or some fabrication in your mind because of what you're going through. Alec left his mother's house sometime early AM after midnight. Went to the Haynes house, and from there he went up to Kevin's parents' room first. And then after He attacked Kevin's parents. He went into Kevin's room. Left the way he came in and walked through the woods behind their house and returned home. I knew for a fact it was true. I did it.
Let's take Alec to his room.
It's gonna be okay.
I was only able to give him a quick hug and tell him I love him, and then they escorted him away. And an administrator from Philhaven came in. And he said to us, Philhaven, being a mental health hospital, there's very strict laws pertaining to what they're allowed to disclose. The law pretty much states that nobody else there had the right to come forward and say anything. The only thing I really remember that this gentleman said to us was, I hope you're going to do the right thing. And it dawned on me what he meant by the right thing was. He expects us to go tell the authorities what we just found out and learned. That night, when I got home, I was laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. And I'm crying. I had 2 other children, and I've spent a good part of their childhood and their upbringing telling me you need to do the right thing. What kind of father am I if the biggest test of my life comes along and I don't do the right thing? And then there's the Haynes family, who deserves to know what happened to their loved ones and who did it. But as a father, my instinct, everything in me wants to protect my child, wants to help my child. How is going to the police, helping him? It's like such a betrayal, isn't it? So it was, turn my son in, go to the police, or betray everything I said my life is about, and lie or not come forward. When you're in a mode of desperation, all kinds of crazy things run through your head. I had this thought coming ahead that I could get him out of Philhaven, break him out, and we could just run away from this. Maybe there's a chance for him. And I just started to pray. Just please get me through today. For my family, for Alec, for the Haynes family. I said, I just need to get through one more day. I thought I could get away with getting rid of that knife. It'll be gone forever. Nobody will ever know. More details about the crime scene came out, and all 3 members of the family had been killed with a knife. Alec never really told me he used a knife, but one of the times I was visiting him, he implied or said something that led me to believe that the murder weapon was still in my house. Because of the laws, the therapists weren't allowed to come forward and tell anybody what Alec had said. So as a result, they expected me to come forward and tell them what we know. So I went up to his room and started looking. I started looking through his backpack. It wasn't in there. He had a big bag he carried, which was martial arts stuff. I looked through that. It wasn't in there. And then I opened up his dresser and saw that knife I'd given him as a hand-me-down from father to son. I remember thinking, he wouldn't have used that knife. So I pulled it out of the dresser and took it out of the sheath, and the tip of the knife was broken off. I can't explain it other than this gut feeling. He used this knife. This is it. I know it is. I just kind of stood there and stared at it. I'd given him this, what I thought was, a sentimental gift. And now that memento, that small little gift, had taken away so much. I had some of those crazy thoughts. There's a big river called the Susquehanna River not too far from us, where I lived in Lancaster. I could drive, if there's nobody behind me, throw it over the edge of the bridge and it'll be gone forever. Nobody will ever know. I thought I could get away with getting rid of that knife. It might have been the last chance to save Alec, I don't know. Maybe it's another way I failed him, I don't know. I don't know.
And that's when he told me he killed Kevin and his parents.
His initial reaction was what we would come to find with just about everybody. Kind of a silence and this stare of like, my gosh, what, really? That's what most people's faces look like when we tell them what happened.
What do you think I should do?
But he was caring, compassionate. He prayed for Alec and our family. He prayed for the Haynes family. And at the end, he prayed for me to have the strength to do what I needed to do.
We ask that you guide Tim's heart. He has a difficult decision to make. One that he can only make with you by his side.
That was really the thought that resonated in my mind, that praying for me to have the strength to do what I need to do.
Amen.
Amen.
I was pretty certain I knew what I was going to do at that point. Ultimately, it came down to that the responsibility to the Haynes family, the community, society, my moral compass of what's right and wrong. I'm overrode the fact that he was my son. I have to do the right thing, and that's coming forward.
The murders of Tom, Lisa, and Kevin Haynes shocked this once tranquil neighborhood that everyone had assumed was safe from violent crime. Police initially had few leads, but they may now have the break they've been looking for. A teenager is reportedly in custody, having been turned in by his own father.
When I walked into the police station, there was more of a dread than relief. It's just a sense of betrayal, a sense of dread, a sense of exhaustion, a sense of hopelessness.
Police say it wasn't random and that Alec initially intended to smother his friend, but allegedly changed his mind and used a knife instead.
At the end, I was just kind of sitting there. I think I had my hands on the table, my head was kind of down. And I remember raising my head and I looked, and the state police officer was still sitting across the table from me. I looked at him and said, it's not your fault. And he didn't have to do that. And if he's still out there, it was a big deal to me.
The uncertainty that has plagued this community may finally be gone, but while police think they now know who committed this crime, they still don't understand why.
It's a picture of a young man who threw away his entire life and devastated another family in the process. The big question I often get is, why did he do it? The most he'd ever said to me was that Kevin had really been annoying him lately. Well, who goes and murders 3 people because they were annoying? That night he said he felt like there was this uncontrollable rage about him. Like it wasn't even him, that he was just in this state of rage. Just utter rage. That rage inside of him wanted to get out. And they were the folks he chose. I don't know what to say. It just was a tragedy I can't imagine for that family. This is a photo of myself and Alec and his little brother when we visited him. One of the last photos I have of Alec and myself and his little brother together. When we visited, often they would reminisce about things they did when they were younger and the fun times they had. After a few visits, and you continue to speak about those same things, those same memories, you realize that for Alec, there weren't going to be any new memories. There was an immense amount of grief and grieving that took place then. Those memories that we could share and talk about, stopped at 16. The person identified themselves was calling from the correctional institute he was in, and the person hesitated on the other end of the phone, and she proceeded to tell me that Alec had committed suicide in his cell, that they did everything they could to save him, but they didn't get to him in time. I gotta admit, the first sense was probably, well, it's over. And maybe a cold response, maybe. But when he was sentenced to prison, there was an immense amount of grief and grieving that took place then. So when he took his life 10 years later, there was grieving and there was sadness, but it was different. It was more of a sense of relief for him and a sadness for the rest of us who don't get to see him anymore. This is a letter that Alec wrote to me. When he was first in prison, we wrote very often. He says, "Dear Dad, the pain and regret over what I have done and how I hurt so many makes me feel like I'm going to throw up. I let everyone down and I did something horrible. What I am is evil. Who I am is good. I want to be a good person. My dark side ruins everything. I'm sorry that I couldn't be stronger. A house divided against itself cannot stand." By the time that he sent this to me, I'm encouraged to hear that he was showing remorse for what he did. I felt it was progress for him. He was trying to understand all of it. Not that it changes things. Again, not that it creates sympathy for Alec. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to show that in a lot of ways there were certainly sides to him that to dismiss him as simply an evil individual is ignoring a lot of the story. The only reason that we agreed to do this interview was that if it would provide hope to somebody else. The one bracelet I wear, often it says trust, the other one says hope. For me, they're really two very, very important things. Hope that things might be better tomorrow or the day after. Trust that there's maybe a strength that we didn't realize we had. Trust that there's help out there that maybe we didn't think would be out there. And at the end of the day, just trust that it'll be okay. Doesn't matter what you're going through, don't let it be the end of your story.
Talking about my story some days gives me release. And other days, makes me nervous. I told about 85% of it. There's some that I will always hold back, that I'll never let anybody know about. There's always more to share. I'm just not ready. I don't want to be known as the kid that killed his father. And yeah, here I am. It's a hard pill to swallow. I know none of you guys here are judging me, but you just have to realize that is a huge, huge fear of mine. I don't want people, especially her, to know that, I'm hurting the way I am. I'd like everyone to think that I'm fine, because, if they think I'm fine, maybe I'll think I'm fine. It's a picture of me and my dad. It looks like Christmas. My mom was kind of not in the picture. My grandparents and my father raised me. I remember my dad being hardworking. He was my protector. The first time I met Judith, I'm 4 years old. My dad said we were going to meet his new girlfriend. I remember her being really nice, really sweet, and I called her the lady with the yellow hair. She seemed funny, and I liked her. This would have been shortly after Judith came into my life. I looked like a happy kid. If I could talk to that little boy, I would tell him to run and never look back. And if I couldn't run, to scream and not stop till somebody came. My dad actually worked nights at the time, and she had volunteered to watch me instead of me going to the babysitters. So a few days after the first meeting, I was actually dropped off at her house.
Behave. Listen to Judith.
You'll be fine.
Bye, bud.
Once my dad left, it's like a switch was flipped and Judith was an entirely different person. She had a daughter my age, so she had told me to go upstairs and play with her daughter. Judith had said the closet in her daughter's bedroom was off limits and that I was not allowed to go into it.
You scared of the dark? Oh.
We began playing, and Judith's daughter simply said, hey, get in the closet.
See how long you can last.
And as soon as I do, she yells for her mom, who comes upstairs.
Mom! He's in my closet!
And Judith is very unhappy with me.
Go downstairs, now! Over here. I thought I told you not to go in there.
She told me to!
Don't you blame her.
She grabbed me by the arm and then proceeded to spank me.
Ow!
A spanking from Judith usually involved a belt or anything she could get her hands on.
No! Please!
I was scared, really confused, and it hurt a lot.
No! Stop! Please!
After the spanking, I'm not allowed to talk, I'm not allowed to eat, and I'm not allowed to play with anything. I just have to sit there and be quiet.
See what happens when you don't obey me?
Before my dad got home, Judith pulled me from the corner and told me I wasn't to tell him anything and that I had fun so I could come back the next day.
Hey, hi!
Hey, bud. Oh, did you have a good day?
I wanted to tell my dad what she had done to me, but I guess something in me wanted to please her. I'm not really sure why, and it's still not something I can explain or put my finger on, but for whatever reason, I just felt I needed to do whatever she said. So I followed her instructions, and when my dad got there, I told her it was fun and I was happy.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's good.
My dad, shortly thereafter, moved in with Judith. After that day, there wasn't any more private settings between me and my father. That was just the first step of control and manipulation. My dad worked nights and days, and he always seemed to alternate. When my dad's around, Judith is nice to me, allows me to be a kid. But I knew, as soon as my dad left, my night or day was about to become hell. Her daughter was allowed to do whatever she wanted, but I didn't have to do anything wrong. I was still being spanked every day. Sometimes she would choke me. I wasn't allowed to make noise or cry or try and stop her. If I did, I got it worse.
Corey.
that, I'd be forced to lay in a bathtub full of ice water. It was another form of torture. Sometimes she was feeling, extra cruel. She would hold my face under the water as well. There were several times I would pass out.
I can't imagine being held underwater.
I might need a minute. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've talked about all this. It's just a lot of fear coming back up. A lot of memories. She would revive me by beating me. I wanted to tell my dad about everything, but I was too afraid to. I knew what Judith would do.
Remember, keep your mouth shut.
And there was never an opportunity to say anything to him. He was usually back at work before I got up. When my dad is home on the weekends, I'm with my grandparents, so there's still no contact. The only thing I can do is try and not make her mad and do as she wants me to. Not long after moving in with Judith, she began telling everyone that she wanted to adopt me. She'd recorded me on several occasions, to convince my dad that, I liked her and she was this great person.
Want a good mommy or a bad mommy? Bad mommy. Are you happy here? Yeah.
I'm still seeing my grandparents. I usually go every weekend to go visit them. I let them know that I wanted to live with them and not with my dad and Judith. But Judith caught wind of it. One day, when I was getting ready to go to my grandparents, Judith pulled me aside and said, "When you come back, you're gonna tell your dad that your grandpa hit you with a belt." She wanted to sever the tie between me and my grandparents. I knew if I didn't do what she said, I'd be beat and starved. She was there with my dad, and I remember her staring at me with a very stern look, and I could feel the fear inside of me, and I knew what she wanted.
What's wrong, honey? You look upset.
I don't want to go back to Grandpa's.
Why? What happened?
And so I told my dad that my grandpa was hitting me with a belt.
Grandpa hit me.
I loved my grandfather very much, and it was very hard to lie and tell my dad what he wasn't doing.
Come here. You don't ever have to go over there anymore.
My dad said that he would take care of it. My dad hired an attorney, and I was no longer allowed over there. After this, I have no communication with any of my grandparents. It's just my dad and Judith. I should have known that she was lying. I wish I would have known. I loved going to school. It was kind of my escape from everything. But one day at school, at recess, a teacher approached me and asked me why I was wearing a long-sleeve turtleneck in the middle of summer.
Corey, aren't you too hot in that?
No.
The reason I was wearing that turtleneck was to hide bruising that Judith had put on me.
Wouldn't you rather change into a t-shirt?
No, I'm fine.
She asked me if I wanted to roll up my sleeves or take the neck down, and I told her no.
Oh, at least you should roll the sleeves up, sweetie. I can help. I sound okay.
Judith's favorite thing to say to me is that if I ever told anyone at school what was going on, that I always had to come home to her first. I lived in constant fear that Judith was going to kill me. So I just simply said it was my favorite shirt.
I just really like the shirt.
I understand.
I, more than anything, wanted her to ask me to take my shirt off just so she could see the bruising. But she never did. I'm probably 7 or 8 years old in this picture. The bruising was so bad. I was never allowed to wear shorts or short-sleeve shirts. I feel sorry for this kid. Kid that's wearing long sleeves in the summer, pants, turtlenecks, the one that's sitting on the swings with nobody around. If you see that kid or that child, I'd put them in your arms and ask them what's going on. And if they tell you something and it's too good to be true, it's more than likely too good to be true. Don't stop asking questions. Eventually, Judith forced me to start disobeying and being mean to my father to make my dad mad at me. Judith would simply say, "It's time," and that's when I would have to start acting out.
Your room sure is messy.
I was to run around the house, breaking toys, breaking things, yell, scream, and just all around not listening to it.
Corey, slow down.
My dad would get extremely upset with me.
That's enough.
But it was always easier to do as Judith asked. I knew I had to do whatever Judith said just to survive.
Damn it! Corey! Look what you did!
If I did as Judith said, there would be a brief period where she was nice to me and not spanking me. All the time I wanted to be able to say something to my father. But I was never alone with him.
Get upstairs! Go to bed! Now!
I don't know why he's like this. He's been like this all day.
I always felt so small and out of place. Looking back, I think my dad was being manipulated just as much by Judith as I was. And it eventually felt like my father hated me. One night, Judith woke me up in the middle of the night and handed me a coffee cup and told me to go fill it with water and to throw it on my dad, who was sleeping. I never wanted to do anything to my dad, but it was easier for me to do as Judith said and upset him than the other way around. So I took the cup and walked to the room my dad was sleeping in. I threw the water on him.
What are you doing, Corey?
I remember my dad saying he was gonna beat me and Judith saying, no, you're not.
Robert, calm down!
Did you see what he did?
Yes, I saw.
Judith stepped out and told him to stop and protected me.
Take your pillow and go downstairs and sleep there tonight. I will handle him.
My dad just kind of looked at me, and I remember him saying, he wished I was never born.
You are such a pain in the neck, you know that? I wish I never had you.
My dad wanted absolutely nothing to do with me, and Judith seemed delighted in that fact.
He's really starting to hate you.
I remember Judith saying, I think he just doesn't like you. And when I was alone with Judith, she told me I did well, and life actually got a little easier for me for a while. This would be my dad and me. This was before Judith came into our lives. Every weekend we would be out fishing. My dad always had the biggest smile on his face. That's something I can always remember. I can see how much my dad loved me. If I could say anything to him, I'd tell him how much I love him. And how sorry I am. I know he'd tell me that he loved me too, that none of this would have been my fault. I just wish I could go back to that time and place and fix it or change it and prevent all of this from happening. I'm supposed to pull the trigger and shoot him and claim it's an accident. One day, I'm 10 years old. Judith pulled me aside and told me she had some news for me.
Corey. Hold on. Come over, sit down.
And proceeded to tell me that my dad was dying of brain cancer.
What?
She had said it was terminal and that it was inoperable.
He's only got a couple months left.
I was kind of devastated. My dad had seemed fine. I don't think he was sick or anything. I had wondered why he wasn't telling me, but Judith had said my dad didn't want me to know that he had cancer. But she has a plan that they've come up with to make sure that the family is okay.
Your dad is a good man, and he's thinking about our future, and he's got this great plan, but he needs your help.
My help?
She said the plan was that I was supposed to accidentally shoot him and kill him so that the family could get the life insurance.
You're gonna tell him that you want to learn how to hunt and that you want him to teach you.
She says I'm supposed to pull the trigger and shoot him and claim it's an accident.
This is what he wants.
Why?
She said he wanted it to happen so that the family had plenty of money to survive on. But I'm not supposed to know it's his plan.
You're not to mention this to him at all, because it would break his heart if he knew. So you are going to pretend you know nothing.
I remember being some of the most confused I've ever been. I don't want to hurt my father in any way.
You understand?
And at the same time, I've Judith telling me what I need to do, and it's, at 10 years old, it's all perplexing. I just knew that if Judith told me to do something, I needed to do it. He must have had the day off, and I asked him if he could teach me how to hunt, and he had said yes.
This is the chamber.
So he got the gun, and he showed me how to load it, cock it, hold it, aim it, the whole 9 yards.
You don't need to learn this at some point. Might as well learn from me, right?
My dad seems excited that I'm interested in something, and he's acting like my dad, like we're having a moment, like I almost feel like he's proud of me or excited or something.
This is important. Never point it at anyone. Got it?
I watched him load it, unload it, and then he instructed me to do the same.
Oh, give it a try.
In my head, it seems like he's proud that I'm going along with the plan. But I never wanted to hurt my dad. So, no matter if it was his plan or her plan, I just couldn't do it.
Nervous, huh?
I think about it every day.
Come on, stand back.
It was the last time I had a good time with my dad. Judith was in the house, and as soon as we walked in, her face turned.
Oh, you're back already?
Here you go. I'm gonna put this away.
Okay.
The look in her eyes, it's hard to describe. And I could tell she was getting angry.
What is the matter with you? I thought you knew what to do.
She asked me why I didn't do it yet, and I said I didn't know I was supposed to.
Did you forget about your dad's plans, or you just don't care?
I didn't think he wanted me to.
She said the next time I tell you to do something, I expect it to be done right.
If you don't do what I tell you to do, I promise you'll regret it. You understand me?
Yes.
I was getting home from school and I got off the bus. Judith was there. I just remember thinking to myself, why is she down here? It's kind of weird.
Hi, honey. How was school today?
Fine.
She had sent her daughter ahead and walked with me. She put her hand around my neck and said today was the day.
Stop putting it off. It's time.
She said that the gun was in the laundry room and I was supposed to go get it.
He's home sleeping right now, taking a nap.
I was supposed to take that into my dad's room and shoot him. And call the police and tell them that the gun went off when I was handing it to him. She actually left to go to her mother's house so she wouldn't be home. I go in the house and I see the gun in the laundry room. I grab it. And I go into his room. And I see my dad there. He's sleeping. He had no idea what was coming. But I thought it was my dad's plan and what he had wanted. I raised the gun and I pulled the trigger. Nothing had happened. I was freaked out. The thought I was having was maybe the gun's broken and I'm not gonna have to do this. You know, at the same time, my thought was, well, Judith is probably gonna beat me if I don't do it, so I pointed the gun and just tried again. I was thinking it was broken, nothing was gonna happen, and that's what I was really hoping on. Pulled the trigger, and sure enough, it went off. I was just standing there and I heard him take one last, deep breath, or a gasp or something. And there was nothing. I just wish I would have known then what I know now. I wish I could have been strong enough. I wish I could have told anybody. I wish I could have told Judith no. I wish at the least, maybe I would have turned the gun on myself rather than have to done any of that and live with it. I don't like to cry. It always makes me feel better, and I don't want to feel better. I wish I would have known. I wish my dad was still here. I wish that every day I'd gladly take his place.
What happened, honey? Calm down. Who got shot? Your dad got shot? Okay. Where did you get shot at?
first, and he grabbed me and said, "Oh no, he's gone." And then took me outside, and the detective wanted to talk with me.
Accidents happen, son, you understand? You can't beat yourself up about it. It's gonna be okay.
By then, Judith had just gotten there.
Let me go! My husband is in there! I need to see him, please! Please let me in!
And she was behaving as if she'd just lost her husband. I mean, she was acting hysterical.
Corey! What happened to your dad?
When the detectives were around, she was trying to comfort me. But after that, she just totally different person. I remember saying, I better not mess this up and stick to what she told me to say. And I was crying, and she told me to quit crying. I knew then that she didn't care. I had taken my father's life, and it was something I was gonna have to live with, and I felt that. What scared me the most was if Judith found out that I did tell somebody. She would have probably killed me. The day after my dad passed, she was on the phone with the insurance company trying to get a check. She collected upwards of $500,000 from my father's life insurance. And then she went shopping, new furniture, new cars. It seemed as long as she had money to spend and was out shopping, that she was being nice to me. The beatings slowed down. They're still there, but not as often. Life, unfortunately, got a lot better for me. It's a picture I haven't seen in years. This would be the classic sports car that Judith bought for me. This is a rare, genuine smile from me at this time in my life. Some days after school and on the weekends, if I was lucky, I was able to get the car out and give it a good shine. And that was something I thoroughly enjoyed. Anytime I was cleaning it or sitting in it, I was just envisioning the day I got to leave with that car and leave my life and Judith. Plan was when I turned 16 to get my license and get out of there. But I think she knew deep down that I was going to be leaving any chance I got. When I turned 16, she actually sold the car. As I got older, I began to rebel, and the more she said, the less I listened, and I didn't want to do anything she said. As the money begins to run out, Judith begins to start disciplining me at a more frequent rate.
Corey, hurry up!
One morning I was getting ready for school. I guess she thought I was taking too long.
Are you deaf? Did you not just hear me calling you downstairs?
I wasn't done yet.
You weren't done yet? You weren't done? You weren't done yet?
She grabbed me and started beating me, asking me what was wrong with me. Why I wasn't listening.
The next time that I call you, you answer me.
I was just tired of everything. I was tired of her.
This is my house. I make the rules. You got it?
It was just kind of the last straw.
Get downstairs.
I knew right then and there that I wasn't coming back home. Judith would keep tabs on me. She always seemed to know what I was doing and where I was at. One day, me and my friend were outside playing catch, and Judith drove by.
Corey!
Hold on a second.
Come here. Want to talk to you.
I thought she was there to grab me or take me away.
When are you coming home?
I'm never going back there again.
When I told her I wasn't coming home, she got mad at me and she told me that she had a tape recording of me actually shooting and killing my father.
Get in the car.
She said she had a hidden camera in the room, which was able to show that my dad was sleeping the entire time. She recorded me on several occasions, so I just assumed she was telling the truth. She said if she showed the police that I'd spend the rest of my life in jail.
Just remember, if you ever tell anybody about what happened, I'm going right to the police with that videotape. And then we'll see where you wind up.
Between knowing that and her constantly watching me, I just felt like I was close to a breaking point. I realized Judith was just manipulating me into whatever she wanted me to do. And I started to question whether my dad actually had cancer or not. I began having nightmares about my father about every night. I contemplated suicide a lot. I tried to commit about 27 times, from pills to jumping in front of a train. It was the guilt. I didn't want to live knowing I'd killed my dad and just didn't know how to get it off my chest. I would sneak out of the house at night, lay on the tracks, and wait for a train to come by. I always got out of the way at the last second. I couldn't do it. I walk into the principal's office and I see the same detective that showed up when my dad had passed away, and I knew instantly what it was about.
But I need you to tell me exactly what happened.
This would be my English report. As a senior, we were giving a writing assignment to write about something that nobody else knew about. Our English teacher was very specific and said it was for her eyes only, and she wouldn't be telling anybody else. I decided to write about what actually happened to my dad. Yes, I did kill him, but not the way everyone thinks. I'm so sorry, Dad. I hope you've forgiven me. I don't know if this is 1,500 words. I'm not going to count them. I trust you, and I think you'll do the best thing with this. Please forgive me. I'm really not a bad person. It was all Judith. I'm glad I wrote the essay. I don't know if I could have ever told somebody face to face. It was the first time I ever admitted to anybody or told anybody. A few days after I wrote this is when the detectives met me at school.
Have a seat, Corey.
I walk into the principal's office and I see the same detective that showed up when my dad had passed away, and I knew instantly what it was about.
I need you to tell me exactly what happened.
They asked me if I had some information about my father that I'd kept a secret for a long time, and I told them I had.
It wasn't an accident.
I told them that Judith forced me to shoot and kill him. I told them everything. How Judith told me to set things up, how to dial 911, and what to tell the cops when they got there.
Judith said he had terminal cancer and wanted to go out on his own terms.
When they were done with their questions, I asked them when I'd be going to jail.
No, Corey. Not here to arrest you. Judith is who we want.
They told me I wasn't going to jail, that it wasn't my fault. It was a shock. I prepared myself that I was going, and I was in disbelief that I wasn't. It was the best I'd felt in a long time. But the goal was to collect enough evidence to make an arrest on her. It was such a relief. That felt great. I felt like a new man. I no longer had to, look over my shoulder or worry about anything. I was pretty much living carefree, and it was great. It shocked me to my core. I, thought I was done with this. It is my understanding that the appellate court thought I was dishonest. And also, much of the evidence was, in their words, strictly circumstantial based on what I said. I was determined to make sure she was found guilty again, but all of a sudden they informed me that a plea deal had been reached, that there was not going to be another trial. She entered a guilty plea, but it was a Alfred plea. And basically that means she still says she's innocent, but admits that a jury would probably find her guilty based on the evidence. I still can't, make sense of the fact that she's going to be out in a few years. 10 years, a slap on the wrist compared to life. She got away with the murder of my father. When she gets out, who knows what'll happen. I think Judith probably has a revenge plan. I gotta look out for my son. It's first and foremost. I want to be the dad to my son that my dad didn't get the chance to be to me. It's taken a long time to feel forgiven by my dad. I at least hope I am. I think he'd be proud of me. But I still have fighting to do. I still have people to protect. I still gotta make sure Judith doesn't get to do this to anybody else. I never get to rid myself of her. I just don't know what else I'm supposed to do to be done with her. Life's not fair, but I don't know why it had to be me. I wish it wasn't.
Oh, man. Can't even talk right now. Hang on. I'm sorry.
There's only one person on earth that knows anything that happened in my childhood, and that's my wife. I've never spoken of it to anybody. Everything was a secret. It was just overwhelming for someone my age. So therefore I learned how to keep these secrets. That just led to years and years and years and years of just burying it. People need to know. There's so many people out there that have no idea. So here we are. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give it to them and let them know. July 30th, 1983. That's the date a monster was born. This monster was my brother. His name was Kevin Duck. He didn't evolve into this. He was born this way. And he'll die this way. We were living on 40 acres in Forest Hill, Louisiana. We grew our own food. We hunted for our own food. We didn't have access to TV. We were so secluded that I didn't have the knowledge of police, firefighters, ambulances, and I was confined to this 40 acres, and that was my life.
You have all been brought here today because God sees something in you.
My father was a preacher. My mom, she was a big part of it, recruiting people to come in and live on our property.
Know that the Lord is our refuge and our strength, our ever-present help in times of trouble.
There's my sister. She is a year and 5 days older than I am. And my brother, Kevin, he's 3 years older than I am. Me and Kevin were really close. He gave off the impression to me growing up that he was my protector, and his influence was powerful. He was good at manipulating you to his advantage. He was almost always up to something bad. There wasn't any good in him. I can't recall any good that he has ever done in his life. Not one thing.
Let us pray.
But anything that had happened on that property stayed on that property. I didn't know I was a part of something wrong because that was my world. And then that's where it all began. Kevin would always get into some sort of mischief. So I felt safe with my sister, and we learned to lean on each other because whenever he got bored, bad things happened. It was all about his needs, his desires, and his cravings. And he would do anything to get what he wanted, including faking his own suicide. We were home alone one time, and we were young, and he had a .410 shotgun for squirrel hunting. And I remember my brother taking his shotgun. He threatened suicide.
Just leave me alone!
He took his shotgun and he went into my bedroom, which was his bedroom, and he locked the door.
Kevin, what are you doing in there?
And he was in there for a few minutes, and it was quiet. And we were in the hallway, didn't know what to do. And then the shotgun fired.
Oh my God.
It rattled us, it shook us, and we didn't know what to do. We were frozen. We didn't know whether to open the door.
Should we go in there? I don't know.
And it was quiet. We sat in that hallway, and together, we built up the courage to open the door.
You go in first.
I didn't know what I was going to see on the other side. He was standing there, shotgun in his hand and the window open. He'd fired a shotgun out the window. And he had a grin on his face. And this grin that he had on his face as a kid is very similar to the grin that he has whenever he takes his mug shots. It was a smile of satisfaction. He got the feeling that he was after, the reaction that he wanted from us, and he felt good about it. He felt good about how bad he had just traumatized us. It was so fun to him that over the years, he continued to do it in other ways, hoping for the same result, and it became one of his activities, faking suicides. And I used this incident in court against him because it was the most singular way of showing what he is capable of, even at the age of 10. Fire was always in our lives. I used fire as a tool for warmth and different things out in the woods, build a campfire because it's fun. Kevin was different. Kevin used fire as a weapon. I remember squirrel hunting with him. You'd post up somewhere, and the squirrel would come at your squirrel call. Well, this one did. He fired at it and missed. So I shoot straight up the tree, went around to the backside, and goes into the knot. And so there's no way that Kevin could shoot this thing. He just, boom, reacted. He had a mission. First thing Kevin did, he started rounding up leaves. He was rushing. He was moving fast doing this. He was so excited. You could tell it was going to be such a treat for him. Strikes a match, tosses it on there, and this tree just, boom, catches in the flames. You can hear the squirrel. It's like a rabbit, has a unique, it screams like a child. And at that age, I was hearing an animal die and suffer. And it was traumatic. It was very traumatic. And then you look over at him, and he's just still taking it in, hearing it scream, hearing the torment, hearing it suffer. And he loved it. He loved it. He didn't want the animal to die humanely. He needed something from it dying. And then after screaming stops, it's over. We pick up our guns and move on.
John, are you coming or not?
I don't hunt to this day because of certain things that I encountered with him, you know. He's hurt everything that has ever come across his path. Just to watch him, watch the life leave their eyes. If it was alive, he wanted to watch it die. At this point, my parents knew something was wrong with him, and my dad wanted to do something about it. So my parents brought us to a church, and it was a smaller church that we would associate with. And the church was unusual. Modern day exorcisms were performed in this church.
Let us begin.
They laid hands on him, the whole church did, and they started praying for Kevin.
Lord, Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless this boy.
It was an exorcism, and it was an aggressive one too.
That you rid him of his demons and purify his soul.
He started laughing. In a psychotic manner, it was just, it wasn't his laugh. And that's why it was scary to me. He just started laughing and laughing and laughing at everybody and laughing at everybody as they were praying on him and laughing. It was so evil, and I'd never seen anything like this before.
Lord, Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless this boy.
It was a slap in the face to everybody. It was a rejection as to what they were doing. They pray harder, but he continued to laugh in this evil way. My dad had to pick him up, and he carried him to the car, and we traveled home that night, and he laughed until the next day. After that, I believe my parents gave up on fixing him with religion. It was almost like everyone knew he was unfixable. There was something in Kevin that stayed in him that you could not remove from him. It was evil.
What are you gonna do?
That was probably the day that I realized that he needed to die. Or he needed to be locked away. This picture was taken on our 40 acres, not long after we'd moved there. If I could talk to this little boy in this picture, I'd let him know that there's a lot of bad things in his future. I look scared, I look traumatized, And he has a smirk on his face. I remember this look. I remember the way he stood. I remember it all. My mom would just bring these people in to try to give them salvation, and then they would flourish and grow on our property and start a new life with Christ. This girl, she was from Louisiana, poor, no future, vulnerable, can't defend herself. In just a few months, she got pregnant by him. Sex was such a crime. It was such a crime in our family that if my parents had found out that she was pregnant, our world would come to an end.
Wait here.
He wasn't gonna let her have a kid. So he comes to us and says, we have to do something about this.
Listen up.
You're gonna help.
I need your help.
And then he told me and my sister what we were gonna do.
We've got to get rid of the baby.
He said that the only way out of this is to compromise the pregnancy by hitting her in the stomach, and that we were gonna participate.
And don't stop until she loses the baby.
It scared me.
There's gotta be another way.
There isn't.
You never took anybody's life into consideration. But what was I gonna do? I couldn't stop anything at this point. I was fully under his control. I was still young. My sister was still fully under his control. And so he didn't put a gun to our head, but his words were still just as powerful as gun. So me, my sister, hit her in the stomach. But it didn't stop the pregnancy. She ended up having a child, and he was a healthy baby, thank God. And one day, she was gone. Never seen her again. I'm glad she didn't lose the baby. I don't know how I would have handled that growing up. Discipline couldn't change who he was. He got worse and worse and worse and worse, and there was just no way of stopping him. One afternoon, Kevin had pulled up on his little motorcycle.
Kevin, where the hell have you been?
Relax, Dad. Everything's fine.
Have you been drinking?
I guess he smelled alcohol on Kevin. And so my dad opened up his saddlebag, and he found a big old bottle of whiskey.
What are you doing with this? Don't you realize how dangerous this is?
He was obviously mad, really mad. And he breaks the whiskey on the ground. And this is where it got physical. My brother had pushed my dad, and they started fighting. Man, I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. They're screaming and hollering and fighting and wrapping legs around each other.
You've never done nothing.
He wasn't gonna stop. But he didn't win that battle. My dad put Kevin in a rear neck and choke and put him to sleep. Made him pass out right there, blacked out on the floor. That was the first time I had ever seen Kevin physically attack another human being. And he got a thrill from it. And from that point, he evolved into what he is now. It's like the childhood part was phase one, and then he became a whole new character that we didn't know how to deal with. Because now he's just rage and anger.
Kevin.
When he woke up, he just got up and then walked away.
Just leave me alone.
It was never spoken of again. It was a marker that this was not going to end. This was only going to get worse, and he was going to be his own commander, and nobody was going to stop him. So it was a whole new realm of fear. What the heck is going to happen now? he got into several bar fights, several very bad bar fights. There's certain little things in life that gave him a thrill that made him want to do something bad. And it got worse, and it became a craving, it became a lifestyle to hurt people. And if you do go near him, he's gonna do something nasty. I don't see someone that can change their ways. I don't see someone that can be fixed. I see a thing. There wasn't any good in him. It's not there. It's not there. And you can stand over him and just stare at him and just look at the monster, and you can just watch his heart beat. And you just, man, that thing needs to just stop beating. And I realized that he needed to die, or he needed to be locked away. I knew that this story had to end. So, I went and got a shotgun. The only way I could pay for college was to join the military. I really enjoyed boot camp. The guys that I was going to be serving with, they were brothers to me. I started to build relationships with other people for the first time in my life. It was a whole new family to me, and it was exciting. It meant a lot to me. Kevin tried to take this away from me. A couple years after I had joined the military, Kevin had gotten into some trouble down south in Louisiana, and he got arrested, and he impersonated me. The police had called me. He had convinced them that he was John Duck, he was in the military, and that I was the company commander.
Hello, this is Private Duck. I'm returning a call.
He had already gotten a hold of my debit card numbers, social security number, and all this stuff, and he truly thought that it would work.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Who you have in custody?
He was convinced, because he was right there. I heard him. He was right there while the police were on the phone with me. He was like, tell him, I'm in the Army. Just tell him I'm in the Army. And I felt violated.
No, sir. No, I'm John Duck. That there would be my brother Kevin Duck.
I told the police that I was John Duck and that Kevin was Kevin Duck, and that I just wasn't going to help him. I'm not going to sit here and play this out. I'm not going to lie for you.
You can tell him I'm done helping him out of trouble.
And I got off the phone with the police. And they put him in jail. It was a mark of a new era, because that was the first time I told him I wasn't going to help him. But if you're in Kevin's life, you're his property. He has a sense of ownership over you, expects you to run and help him. And I didn't that day, and it upset everything. The day that he beat up my sister, I'd just gotten home after a long tour in Iraq, and Kevin was having some issues with his girlfriend at this time. His girlfriend was friends with my sister. Well, my sister stepped in and interfered and told her that if she didn't get out, she was gonna get hurt bad. And Kevin didn't take it so well. Hey! Didn't take it well at all. He grabbed her by the hair of her head, jerked her, threw her on the ground.
It's between me and my girlfriend. This has nothing to do with you.
And he grabbed about a 3-foot-long jack handle. He went to swing and hit her in the head. I was very close to my sister. I felt like it was my job to protect my sister. I was her safety net, and she was mine. I ran into him, and we collided up against the wall. I said, I just came home from war. I don't want to start another one. Get off me. And then he ended up turning and walking away. He was more violent that day than I'd ever seen him toward us before. And I got my sister up, took her to the ER. We ended up pressing charges on him, and then later on we dropped the charges because my mom was begging us not to put him in jail. After that occurred, I knew that there was going to be some sort of fatal ending to this story. He was bloodthirsty and willing to hurt someone, and I was done with it. I was done with it. I was so done with it. I went to a gun store and I bought a shotgun. At this point, I felt like I needed to stop it permanently. If he got to the point that he was willing to kill his family, and that idea flipped a switch in my head that this story had to end. I was gonna do it myself. I was gonna end it for the sake of whoever else was in the future. I was on my way home, and then I got hungry. I got hungry, and so I whipped into a restaurant and ordered me some food. The waitress that came and brought me my food.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She had a smile on her face with her little blonde hair.
You look like you're having a bad day.
I've been better.
Well, I'm sure it's nothing a beer and burger can't fix.
And I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. So I went down that tunnel, and here we are, 10 years later, happily married with 2 kids. There's a good chance that I would probably be behind bars if it wasn't for her. I ended up going to see my sister instead of going to shoot my brother. But I was that close. That close from doing it my way. I ain't gonna lie, man. Talking about it's getting my heart racing. I'm getting mad. And I don't come off that easy. Golly. I'm gonna step out and smoke my vape for a minute. That's alright. I didn't really know how to react to it. This is creepy stuff. What do I do now? After I'd met my wife, Ashton, I didn't bring her around my family. I didn't talk about my family to her. She didn't really know my childhood secrets. I was protecting her from my world, and it worked for a while. Nobody was home on this particular night, and I decided I was going to bring her to my home, and we were going to, hang out, and she could at least see my environment.
I'm so happy you came.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
We were there for a few hours. Things started to get a little hot and heavy between us. We were in the bedroom, and the door was open. I thought we were alone. Turns out we wasn't.
Oh my God! What the hell are you doing?
Ashton kind of panicked. I turned around and I looked, and my brother was just leaning on the door jamb, just sitting there with his arms crossed, smiling. And watching so quietly.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
And I asked him, what are you doing in here? Get out of here.
Who is that?
That is my brother, Kevin.
Don't mind me. You guys are doing just fine.
He continued to lean on the door jamb with that smirk on his face, with no motion, no reaction to our reaction, emotionless. He was drawing in pleasure at that moment.
Why are you still here, man? Just go already.
And eventually he walked away.
What the hell was that all about?
She was really upset about it. She wanted to know why he would do something like that. And I didn't really have an explanation for her because He was just my brother. He was just Kevin at this point.
Always just been a little off.
A little off? He's a total creep.
We quickly got dressed, and I was just, let's get out of here. Let's go.
I shouldn't have brought you here. All right, come on.
I didn't really know how to react to it. This is creepy stuff. He just stalked us. What do I do now? The woman that I'm falling in love with, I can't bring her around my world because it's not safe for her. He brought home a girl one time. They got married and started having kids together. It went downhill so fast. It turned evil quick. My parents moved a brand new single-wide trailer up on top of the property for Kevin to live in. You'd hear her screaming. You'd hear her screaming in that trailer up on the property, man. Kevin's wife would come down from the trailer.
Hey, guys.
Hang out for a little bit and say hi. And
I was gonna head to the store. I wanted to see if you guys needed anything.
we started to notice that she would have bruises on her. You could see bruises on her legs, and you can sometimes see bruises on her neck. And there wasn't nothing I could do about it. When my sister reached out and tried to help her friend get away, backfired. It put her in the hospital.
Is there anything we can do? Look, I know you guys are just trying to help, but I don't really want to talk about that. I just wanted to see if you needed anything.
If I were to intervene, more people would get hurt. It was less damage not to interfere.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, I'll be back in a bit.
She put up with it for a long time. She did. Until one day she had enough. She left, got the kids, and never came back. And I don't blame her. He was still growing into something more dangerous every day. Kevin was working as a mechanic in Hot Springs Village whenever he had met Donna Nasky. I don't know if she's with him at this point, or if this is her before him. I never got to meet her. But she's that kind of person that you can look at a picture of her and you feel like you've known her for your whole life. She has that face. I was aware that she had kids and I knew she was a police dispatcher, so therefore I had hopes that it was going to work out well. Maybe the influence of the good quality people that she associates with will rub off on him and maybe he'll start to try to act like a normal human. But I knew better. I knew better. That wasn't going to happen. This was going to end in tragedy. My wife was pregnant with our first son, and things were going good. We were at a little Christmas get-together, family, and all having a good time, opening some presents and stuff. And Ashton got a phone call. She signaled me to come outside, and...
Would you excuse me for a second? Thank you.
She had told me that it was Donna's family, and they were worried because she was missing, and she was last seen with Kevin.
Okay. I'll let you know if I hear anything. Bye.
I had that same familiar feeling that I had in several situations as a kid, to where you instantaneously get overwhelmed with adrenaline to the point to where your whole body goes numb. And then it takes a few minutes to come back and your adrenaline to slowly leave.
They said the last time they saw her, she was with Kevin.
But even through all my adrenaline and my inability to think, because of the adrenaline, I knew one thing, that if she was missing and she was with Kevin, he was at fault. I knew this day was going to happen. I felt it coming my whole life. It was a matter of time. And so there wasn't any doubt in my mind.
Do you think she ran off because she was trying to get away from him?
No. I just looked at her and I let her know that they needed to start looking for a body. Missing from Hoskins Village, Arkansas. Donna Natsky, 46, was last seen on Wednesday, December 21st, 2011 at 10:30 to 11 p.m., leaving a Christmas party in Hot Springs Village with her boyfriend. Donna is described as 5 feet 6 inches tall, with brown hair and blonde highlights and brown eyes. Donna has been a dispatcher for the Hot Springs Village Police Department for 6 years. I knew one day I'd be staring at a picture of the victim. Always knew it. And this is her. Learning about her, I know she was a loving mother. I see joy. That's a true smile. There's nothing fake about that. That's happiness in her eyes. She was surrounded by people that tried to love her as much as she loved them. I see a person that puts everybody's needs before hers. And my brother took advantage of that and destroyed everything. And her existence was ripped from the face of the earth by a predator.
Duck was late to work the day after Natsky went missing, and his employer said Duck seemed disinterested in the search effort for her.
The dispatcher has been missing for more than a week. Now Hermes is selling bracelets to honor, remember, and help Donna's children.
Find peace for Donna and justice. I believe this bracelet resembles goodness, hope. This was an entire town coming together to resolve something. I believe there was over 300 people that had showed up at the school to participate in this search. Everybody provided every resource that they could, but Kevin was not a part of the search. When I found out he didn't show up, I took it as complete and 100% confirmation that he was guilty.
Down a peaceful dirt road on a warm December day, a search for a missing mother brings a cold discovery: a body.
When Kevin was finally arrested, and we had gotten word about it, God, it was awful. It was so awful.
Natsky's autopsy showed she died from blunt force trauma and drowning. Garland County authorities believe her boyfriend at the time, Kevin Duck, is the one who did it.
That was another indicator that it was Kevin, because there were very few people that knew about that pond. It was secluded in the woods, and I went fishing there with him once.
It was cell phone records that linked Duck to the area around where Natsky's car was found burning 3 days after she went missing that linked him to her death.
You'd think I'd have been more prepared for it, because I'd been preparing for it my whole life, but I didn't know what to do. We needed to come to justice on this. We needed to put him away in a pen. And it was like everything that he had ever done and ever created in that one moment in life, he was finally going to be put in a cage and locked away. And I needed that. I needed him to not exist anymore.
Appearing before his own family members and family of his girlfriend, Donna Natsky, Kevin Duck entered a not guilty plea at his first appearance before a Garland County judge.
For all the moments that I was in the courtroom, he never looked up. But whenever I got up on that stand, he looked up at me and we made eye contact. And then right after that eye contact, I said what I needed to say. And then I walked out of that courtroom. I was given the opportunity to go into the back and sit down and see him one more time before they took him away. I quickly said no. My dad and my sister did. My mom did. I walked out the door with my wife beside my side, and that was the mark of a new beginning right there. Afterwards, he told my dad to tell me that he forgives me for doing what I did. That'll be the last words he ever says to me. I can't do it. That's the smirk. That's the smirk that dates back to the beginning of his existence. Every time he got satisfaction, that smile haunts me. Because that smile is only really related to badness, not happiness. It's disgusting. That's a monster in the form of a human. I wonder what the world would have been like without his existence. Knowing now what I do know, if I were able to go back in time the day I bought that shotgun, I would have done it. To this day, I think about him every day. I still love him. There's still a sense of brotherhood. That's why I refer to him as my brother. I know what he is, and I love him as he is, but he can't exist in my world. Eventually, one day, he's going to be a small part in the back of my mind. He's not going to be the majority of my mind. One day at a time. One day I'm going to get there, and I'm not going to have to think about him as much. And I'm going to leave this behind. I'm going to leave it behind, and I'm gonna not forget about it, because it'll never go away. It'll never go away, but this is no longer a part of me.